Chapter 5002. At this time, Tang Wenwan and Tang Guo were arranged to live in the palace. Wenren Jian only arranged people to guard the entrance of the palace. This was his territory. Tang Wenwan and her mother didn't know martial arts, so he wasn't afraid that they would run away. Tang Guo found that Tang Wenwan had secretly called Immerse recently. She didn't know why, so she asked the system. Your mother recited the martial arts manuals to Immerse. She told him to practice secretly in the room so that he would have the ability to report in the future. Because Immerse wasn't with you, he was picked up halfway. Even if he knew some martial arts, it wouldn't arouse suspicion. Your mother found that he had some foundation and talent. She hoped that he would be able to take care of you one day. Tang Guo said, "This kid is so lucky. My mother didn't give it to me." System, can you eat vinegar? Isn't your mother doing this for your sake? I know. If she gave it to me, she thought it would be troublesome. She gave it to that kid. He's not an outsider anyway. That kid only has a little foundation. But after being tortured by the seamless building, it didn't hurt his foundation. It can be seen that someone helped him recuperate before he started practicing martial arts. If he didn't go missing, he would have started practicing martial arts. On the 5th day of living in the palace, a guest came to the palace where Tang Wenwan lived. Tang Wenwan and the emperor met in the martial arts world. In fact, the first person she met was not the emperor, Wenren Jian, but Princess Qin, Wenren Qin. She and Wenren Qin were good friends. Later, the two played together. Wenren Qin met Wenren Jian on the way and introduced Tang Wenwan. After knowing Tang Wenwan's identity, Wenren Jian was very interested in the martial arts manuals and treasures in swordsman Tang's hands. Therefore, he wanted to get close to Tang Wenwan and tried to bring her into the palace. However, he didn't get what he wanted. The appearance of the eternal boat exposed his true face. From then on, Tang Wenwan knew that Wenren Jian was pretending. Everyone loved Tang Wenwan's appearance. Wenren Jian still didn't give up and wanted to bring her into the harem. Recently, Wenren Jian was preparing to make Tang Wenwan an imperial concubine. In the past few days, all kinds of things had been delivered. Tang Wenwan, who had been caught many times, was too lazy to resist. As long as her daughter wasn't hurt, she didn't care. Seeing Tang Wenwan's weak appearance, Wenren Qin quickly sent people out. She held Tang Wenwan's hand guiltily. "It's all my fault. If I didn't let you meet my brother, you wouldn't have these things as. If I didn't let you know my brother. I don't blame you. Even if it wasn't for your brother, there would have been someone else. With my identity, I'm destined to never have a peaceful life. How can I blame you?" Wenren Qin truly treated Tang Wenwan as a friend. Unfortunately, even as a princess, she was powerless in this matter. The imperial power was in the hands of Wenren Jian. She was just a little princess and couldn't change her fate. "Nuanyuan, I'll think of a way to send you out of the palace. How about it?" T. Was T. S is now everything is arranged. As long as you are willing, I will arrange for someone to send you out. I have checked the route. You don't have to worry. I will ask someone to help you change your appearance. You can go to the mountains and hide your identity. It's better than being fought over by those people. Tang Wenwan wanted to refuse. "It will implicate you. Even if I am trapped here, at least my life is not in danger. I don't want to implicate other people." Chapter 5003. Anyway, I'm a princess. If I let you go, even if my brother is angry, he won't do anything to me. At most, he will be grounded for a few days. Wenren Qin pulled Tang Wenwan's hand hard. "The palace is not as peaceful as you think. Besides, you have Guo with you. You and your mother have no force and no power behind you. Even if my brother will make you an imperial concubine, I'm afraid you can't protect yourself. Those concubines in the palace have endless means. I think you know my brother's biggest plan. I took you to see him that year. Now I'm going to help you get rid of all this. Don't worry. I've arranged a way out. I must send you away and settle you in a peaceful place. Tang Wenwan still shook her head. As we all know, Wenren Jian is extremely cruel. Few people who resist him have a good end. Qin, forget it. Don't waste your time. In fact, you're just afraid of involving me. I've said that I'm a princess. At most, I'll be grounded. It doesn't matter even if I'm beaten. No matter how cruel my brother is, he won't kill me. When Rin Qin's smile became bleak, he still hopes to send me to the imperial marriage. How can he let me die? Qin. Tang Wenwan's eyes turned red. Tears dripped from the corners of her eyes. I didn't expect you. Princesses are like this. They can't escape. My brother and I are not born in the same womb. Isn't it normal for the imperial family to send me to the imperial marriage? I just sigh that I'm a girl. If I'm a boy, maybe I can compete with him. However, if I'm a boy, I'm afraid I'll be like other princes. Even if I don't die, I won't have the ability to inherit. Tang Wenwan couldn't help but think that Wenren Jian's brothers were either disabled or blind. He wouldn't kill the imperial brothers, but he would make them suffer. Nuanyuan, promise me. This is the last time I help you before the imperial marriage. I'm still useful to him. He won't do anything to me. Wenren Qin said again, just let me make up for the guilt in my heart. If I don't help you, I won't feel at ease. I can't sleep every night. Tang Wenwan finally agreed. Okay. How could she not know that the palace was a man-eating tiger's den? Even if she was conferred the title of imperial consort, she would have no power or influence. She was afraid that she would not be able to protect her daughter. She was not afraid of death. She was only afraid that her daughter would not be well. When Rin Qin finally exhaled and pulled Tang Wenwan to talk a lot. Before she left, she said, I often come here recently. After a while, you take Guo to my place to play. Only then will I have the chance to send you away. Alright, be careful. Tang Wenwan was originally very confused about escaping because she didn't know where to go. Even with Wenren Qin's arrangements, she was still afraid that something might go wrong. After all, back when she and Sun Zishan were living in the wilderness, they were still discovered by the Eternal Arkansas. If Eternal Yacht could discover her, it meant that others could discover her as well. It was not until the next day that Tang Wenwan's pastries were poisoned that she realized that the imperial palace was a place where no one could stay. The group of concubines in the palace simply could not tolerate her existence. The emperor wanted her mainly because of the gold and silver behind her, the secret books of martial arts, and the most important thing was her beauty. But the concubines in the palace did not think so. They only thought that a peerlessly beautiful woman would definitely charm the emperor and they would all fall out of favor in the future. Chapter 5004. In the original plot, Tang Wenwan really ate the cake. But Tang Guo was there, so she couldn't eat it. When she found the plate of pastries, Wenren Jian was also there. Therefore, she took a piece of pastry and gave it to Wenren Jian. Of course, she called Wenren Jian uncle. Wenren Jian was really happy and ate the cake. The result was obvious. Wenren Jian was poisoned. Fortunately, his internal energy was strong and the imperial doctor came in time. The poison was removed in a short while. At that time, Tang Wenwan hugged Tang Guo tightly. When Wenren Jian woke up, she quickly said, Guo is kind. She didn't hurt you. Someone must want to hurt me, Uncle Wenren, it really wasn't me. I just want to share the delicious cake with you. Tangua added. She looked like she was scared to death. Mo Sien, I feel something is wrong. I just don't understand. System, you have a good intuition. Of course, Wenren Jian didn't believe that Tang Wenwan and Tang Guo poisoned him. They didn't have the ability to do that. He was the one who ordered the cake. The people who served the cake were all his people. The only people who could do something in the palace were the restless women in the harem. Wenren Jian was in good health, but his face was a little pale. He was not as weak as Tang Wenwan. In the original plot, Tang Wenwan was poisoned for 2 months. Her body was not as good as before. I know it has nothing to do with you. You should go and rest. It won't happen again today. Tang Gua and Tang Wenwan were sent back to the palace. When they returned to their room, Tang Wenwan patted Tang Gua and Mo Xian's hands and said, I can't stay here. Qin said she will help me plan to leave. Don't say anything. Don't be found out. Tang Gua and Mo Xian nodded. Tang Wenwan looked at Tang Gua lovingly. Fortunately, it's Gua, Otherwise, mother would be the one who got poisoned. Gua, did you do it on purpose today? Otherwise, how could it be a coincidence? Mother, I was afraid that there was something wrong with the food in the palace. Let Uncle Wenren taste it first. If he can eat it, we can eat it too. Mo Xian, you're so bad. I'm afraid that's not all, right? Tang Wenwan shook his head. Fortunately, he was lucky. Otherwise, the 3 of us would have been doomed. Tang Wenwan didn't blame Tang Gua. Fortunately, it was Tang Gua. Otherwise, she wouldn't know how long it would take for her to recover. When Wenren Qin heard about this, she also hurried over. After knowing what happened, she thought in her heart, why didn't Wenren Jian be poisoned to death? Then he thought that if Wenren Jian died, Tang Wenwan and her mother would not be able to escape. 2 days later, Tang Gua heard Wenren Qin and Tang Wenwan talking about the poisoning. Tang Wenwan asked, have you found out who it is? If he wanted to investigate, he would naturally be able to find out. It was Imperial Concubine Yu and Imperial Concubine Yun who did it. As Wenren Qin spoke, there was still some lingering fear in her eyes. Tang Wenwan understood that these 2 people's fates were probably not good. Sure enough, he heard Wenren Qin speak again. The 2 of them were fed the same poison by Imperial brother. I don't know how much they took, but they are now dead. Tang Wenwan took a deep breath. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. She only felt that this world was very sad. So what if those imperial concubines were high and mighty? Wasn't their life and death in Wenren Jian's hands? She was like this, they were like this. Why did they bother to harm her and even pay with their own lives? As a result, there would be more people who were dissatisfied with her. This was probably one of Wenren Jian's goals. He wanted her to understand that if she wanted to live in the palace, she could only rely on him. There is still half a month before the ceremony for you to be conferred the title of Imperial Concubine. Before that, I will send you away. Wenren Qin left. Tang Guo looked at Wenren Qin's back and shook her head. This person was also miserable in the end. Chapter 5005. In the original plot, after Wenren Qin secretly sent Tang Wenwan and her daughter away, Wenren Jian was so angry that he cut off Wenren Qin's tendons and sent her to the imperial marriage. A beautiful woman whose tendons were cut off would end up in the imperial marriage. Gua, what are you thinking about with your chin in your hand? Tang Wenwan's voice interrupted Tang Gua's thoughts. Don't worry. No matter what, mother will be by your side. We can't stay in the imperial palace anymore. We have to go. Tang Wenwan couldn't guarantee that she could live a peaceful life with a concealed identity. Now she just wanted to leave here. Otherwise, she didn't know whether the poison would be sent to her or her daughter's mouth next time. She was never afraid of death. She was only afraid that her young daughter would meet with misfortune. Mother, I'm not worried. Mo Xian waved his hands. This little girl didn't worry at all. He didn't know what she was relying on. He had been observing her for several days, but he didn't see any strange behavior from her. Also, did his parents get lost? How could they not see the mark he left behind? In recent days, Tang Wenwan often took Tang Gua and Mo Xian to talk to Wenren Qin. Because they were in the imperial palace, Wenren Jian was not vigilant. Wenren Qin also didn't show any intention of sending Tang Wenwan away. This was also the reason why Wenren Jian didn't expect that Wenren Qin would send the mother and daughter out of the palace. Although Wenren Qin was a woman, in fact, she was more intelligent and scheming than a man. It was just that she was a woman and the entire imperial court was firmly controlled by Wenren Jian. There was no room for her to play. If she showed any bad intentions, Wenren Jian would definitely make her suffer. Her current situation was better than those princes because she was a woman. Tang Gua observed in Wenren Qin's palace that Wenren Qin also has her own people to use. She is not an ordinary idiot princess, but a person with her own ideas. Otherwise, she wouldn't have planned to send the mother and daughter out of the palace. Since she dared to do this, she obviously had her own power. In that case, she would have one less puppet to use. Xiaolan, come here. There's a new task. Tang Gua shouted in the room. Xiaolan quickly appeared beside her. How about this, after I am sent out of the palace and Wenren Jian severed Wenren Qin's tendons, you will cripple Wenren Jian and sever his tendons as well. Then you will help Wenren Qin reconnect her tendons and heal her. As Tang Gua spoke, she took out a few bottles of medicine. Give these to her. There won't be any side effects. Xiao Lan's mouth twitched. Master, why do you want Wenren Qin to suffer this pain? Those who achieve great things need some special experiences. If she's too kind, she'll be easily manipulated by others. If she is not ruthless, she won't be able to be ruthless, she can't suppress them. Only after experiencing despair and pain and suffering can she grow faster, Gens. If she's Gens she's will have doubts about many things. Understood, master. Xiaolan put away the medicine. She first mourned for Wenren Qin and then hid again. On this day, Tang Wenwan took Tang Gua and Mo Xian to talk to Wenren Qin early in the morning. After they went to Wenren Qin's palace, they began to pretend to leave the palace. Wenren Qin had already found a few people who were similar to them and disguised as them. Chapter 5006. Ah Qin, is this okay? You're really okay. At this time, Tang Wenwan had changed her appearance to an ordinary person. She was still very worried about Wenren Qin's situation. Wenren Qin, Nuan, things have come to this point. There's no turning back. Otherwise, I've been planning for so many days in vain. These few days, they've copied your expressions. It's not a problem to delay for a few days. When you leave the palace safely, I'll ask them to leave immediately. There's someone outside the palace to meet you. When the time comes, he'll take you to hide. You know this person too. With him taking care of you, I'm relieved. Wenren Qin's face flashed with reluctance. Also, help me pass a message to him. Tell him not to do anything stupid. Wenren Jian is not someone who can be shaken by anyone. If he does something impulsive, his family will be implicated. Tang Wenwan understood what was going on. Her eyes turned red. Why was her and Achin's fate so twisty? Achin was still a noble. She couldn't be with the person she liked. Heaven was teasing people. Okay, you guys go out before dark. Okay. Before dark, Tang Wenwan and the other two successfully left the palace with the circus people. This circus was invited by Wenren Qin a few days ago. The people who played the three of them were also members of the circus. As long as it wasn't on the day of consort conferment, Wenren Jian shouldn't find out anything. After leaving the palace, Tang Wenwan indeed saw the person Wenren Qin mentioned. She indeed knew him. Speaking of which, they were considered friends. This person had helped her before. Young Master Shangqing, I didn't expect it to be you. Tang Wenwan thought of Wenren Qin's words and said, Achin told me to tell you not to do anything stupid so as not to implicate your family. When Shangqing heard this, his face showed some helplessness. He didn't respond but said, follow me back to the Medicine Valley first. The Medicine Valley is hidden and has a strange array. It's not easy for outsiders to enter. You can live in seclusion. No one will find you in the future. When you go to the Medicine Valley, I'll seal it. And he also had to do what he wanted to do. Let's go. This is not the place to talk. Shangqing didn't give Tang Wenwan a chance to speak. He led them out of the capital. Tang Guo looked at Shangqing's back and thought to herself, this person is also pitiful. Originally, Tang Wenwan and his daughter were indeed taken away from the Medicine Valley, but he did not expect to be backstabbed by his own people. As long as the news of them hiding in the Medicine Valley did not leak out, very few people would think of that place. In the end, someone betrayed Shangqing. After the news of Wenren Qin's tendons being severed spread out, this young master couldn't help but want to go to the palace to save Wenren Qin. In the end, he was captured by the palace's experts. When Rinjian guessed that it must be this young master who helped Tang Wenwan and her daughter escape. He wanted to ask about his whereabouts, but neither of them answered. Shangqing also had a junior sister. When she learned that Shangqing had been captured, she told the emperor that as long as he released Shangqing, she would give Tang Wenwan and her daughter to him. When Rinjian knew that Tang Wenwan and her daughter were in the Medicine Valley. However, he didn't want to let Shangqing off. He killed Shangqing in front of Wenren Qin. Then he asked people to take Shangqing's body out of the Medicine Valley and asked Lanning to send Tang Wenwan and her daughter out. Lanning found out that Shangqing was killed and turned against him. She quickly hid in the Medicine Valley. Peak. Chapter 5007. This was not a problem for Wenren Jian. He asked people to set fire to the mountain so that the Chiman formation was useless. Then he arranged masters to enter the Medicine Valley to kill. In front of Tang Wenwan and her daughter, dozens of people in the Medicine Valley were killed. Even Lanning couldn't escape. Tang Guo was afraid that the masters in the palace would be too powerful, so she also left Xiaoying there. She also left some medicine for them. If necessary, they can control all the masters in the palace and serve Wenren Qin in the future. As long as Wenren Jian didn't set fire to the mountain, there would be no problem for the time being. Even if there was a problem, she could make 2 more puppets. On the way, everyone seemed to be silent. Tang Guo could see that Shangqing looked at the palace from time to time. It was obvious that he was really worried about Wenren Qin's situation. 3 days later, Wenren Qin invited a performance troupe and Tang Wenwan from the palace to watch. After the performance troupe left the palace. In fact, they released the 3 impersonators and asked them to quickly change their clothes and run away. When it was dark, Tang Wenwan and the others should have returned to their palace. However, they didn't return. Someone reported to Wenren Jian. Wenren Jian was also worried, so he came to Wenren Qin's place to check the situation. However, He only saw Wenren Qin and didn't see Tang Wenwan and the others. At this time, he knew that Wenren Qin had tricked him. Wenren Jian was so angry that he laughed. "Sister, even you are not obedient. You have really grown up." Wenren Jian strode to Wenren Qin and looked at her condescendingly. "Where is she?" "I have released her." "Brother, Nuanyuan doesn't like you at all. Why do you have to imprison her in the palace? Don't you find that she is not happy?" Wenren Jian asked again. "Where is she? Give her to me." "Brother, I know that compared to you, you like Nuanyuan more than the gold and silver behind her and those martial arts manuals. I really regret that I brought her to meet you. If I didn't make a wrong decision, she wouldn't be in such a situation. Imperial brother, you can do whatever you want with her. I won't tell you where she is." "Very good. You deserve to be my royal sister. You deserve to be my blood." Wenren Jian said with a ferocious face, "Do you really think that I can't do anything to you?" Wenren Qin was still a little scared, but her pride didn't allow her to lower her head. This was her own choice, and it could be considered as making up for her previous wrong decision. She felt at ease. Even if she were to die here today, she would not regret it. It was because even if she didn't die, she would be living a life worse than death. She would be better off dead. She didn't need a political marriage at all, but her imperial brother was ambitious and only used her as a tool to confuse the other party. When the time was right, they would take that country into their system. That was because he had taken a fancy to that country's endless mines. What the other party sent over could not satisfy his appetite at all. He wanted all of it. Not only did he want all of it, but he also wanted to take other people's things without leaving a particularly bad reputation. "Sister, what you did really disappointed me. You are too disobedient." Wenren Jian's voice made Wenren Qin tremble. Her lips couldn't help but tremble. Her imperial brother was really scary. "Don't worry, I won't kill you. You are my royal sister after all." Wenren Jian smiled at Wenren Qin, but she had a bad premonition in her heart. Peak. Chapter 5008. "Come on, tie her up." Wenren Jian ordered and a man jumped out from beside him. Wenren Qin looked at him. Isn't he Wenren Jian's master? She felt worse, but she didn't resist. Even if she did, it would be in vain. Break the tendons of her hands and feet. Wenren Jian turned around and said calmly, "Sister, if you were obedient, I would treat you well. But you are too disobedient. Brother, you are so cruel." Wenren Qin was scared, but she didn't expect Wenren Jian to be so cruel. This time, she finally realized that Wenren Jian didn't care about blood ties. He didn't kill his blood-related brothers and sisters because he didn't want to bear that kind of reputation. He had ways to make them wish they were dead. Do it quickly. That way, sister, you will suffer less. Wenren Jian smiled and stepped out of the palace. Arrange for someone to look for Nuanyuan. A person who doesn't know martial arts always likes to run around. Next time, I have to arrange more people to take care of her, in case she runs around. She is so weak. What if something happens? Wenren Qin felt a chill run down her spine. Was this what it meant to use the most gentle tone to say the most terrifying words? Her life was bitter, but Nuanyuan's life was worse. The people she met were similar to her brother. She was not the only one who liked her. Wenren Qin's scream came from the palace. Wenren Jian didn't even move his eyebrows. This is the result of disobedience. He was really disappointed. He thought his sister was very obedient. She didn't give him a chance to be a good brother. At this time, Wenren Qin was lying on the bed weakly. The imperial physician was treating her injuries. The tendons of her hands and feet were broken. It meant that she couldn't use her martial arts. Even if she could be cured, she could only barely walk. She was basically a waste. Princess Qin, please bear with it. The imperial physician sighed and didn't dare to say more. The emperor was the one who couldn't be offended the most in the palace. He was the one who made life worse than death. He didn't even dare to say anything to comfort her. He was afraid that his words would be heard by the emperor. Wenren Qin didn't say anything. She couldn't do anything now. Wenren Qin didn't know that Wenren Jian, who had returned to the imperial study, encountered another scene. As soon as he entered the imperial study, he was attacked and did not even have the chance to react. At this moment, he did not know that he had been captured and had his acupoints sealed. As for the two experts beside him, they were fighting with a woman. To Wenren Jian's dismay, he found that the two masters were actually at a disadvantage when fighting against a woman. Wenren Jian was still waiting for the two experts to turn the tables around. Unexpectedly, the two experts were beaten back repeatedly. In the end, they were beaten by the woman's palm and kick. They vomited blood. When they tried to resist, they were subdued by the woman and forced down some unknown medicine. Where did this expert come from? He was actually able to easily subdue the person beside him. Who are you? What do you want? Wenren Jian pretended to be calm and asked. Xiaolan turned around to look at Wenren Jian and said to the two masters, "Your lives are now in my hands. If you don't take the antidote every month, you will suffer a fate worse than death. If you don't believe me, you can try to circulate your internal energy." The two experts really didn't believe it. When they circulated their inner strength, they were in so much pain that their foreheads were sweating. They looked at Xiaolan in fear. Chapter 5009. This is the medicine. Try it again after you take it. Xiaolan threw 2 pills to them and they hurriedly took them. Then, they circulated their internal energy. Sure enough, there was no problem. At this moment, they understood that the other party wanted to control them. They had no choice but to obey. Who are you? What do you want to do? Wenren Jian shouted. He was already very scared. This was too sudden. He wasn't prepared at all. Xiaolan walked in front of Wenren Jian and slapped his face. You talk too much. Noisy. Wenren Jian's face instantly turned red. He was the emperor. He had never been slapped like this in his entire life. When he was saved, he would definitely make this person suffer a fate worse than death. He would be slapped every day. Xiaolan, do it. Don't dawdle. They are still waiting. If you delay her treatment, Master will definitely be unhappy. Xiaoying reminded. Xiaolan took out a dagger and pulled Wenren Jian's hand. Wenren Jian was so scared that he shouted, "What are you doing?" What am I doing? I am cutting the tendons in your hands and feet. What else can it be? I see that you like doing these things, so I want to try it out. With that, Xiaolan cut off a section of Wenren Jian's tendons. Now, he couldn't even connect it. He couldn't use it anymore. Wenren Jian also cried out in pain. Xiaolan laughed and said, "It's like a pig being slaughtered. Even if this guy is the emperor, he is still afraid of pain." Wenren Jian saw Xiaolan holding his other hand and finally begged for help. What do you want? I will give you anything. Let me go. If you talk more, I will cut off your tongue too. Xiaolan's words really scared Wenren Jian. He didn't dare to say anything more and only looked at her with pleading eyes. Xiaolan didn't show any mercy. She cut off all the tendons in Wenren Jian's hands and feet. At this moment, he was really a useless person. The two of you come and take care of him. He is already a useless emperor. The country can't be without a ruler for a day. Among the royal heirs that he is close to, only Princess Qin can be close to him. So, in the future, Princess Qin will handle the country's affairs for him. You have to cooperate with her. Xiaolon said, you are all close to him. The ministers will also believe you. In the future, when Princess Qin becomes the empress, all of you must earnestly assist her. Wenren Jian, who had fainted because of the pain, woke up again when he heard this. He shouted, no. However, it was useless. After handing Wenren Jian over to the two experts, Xiaolon and Xiaoying went to look for Wenren Qin. You two, hurry up and call for help. You must get rid of Wenren Qin. Otherwise, I will make you wish you were dead. Wenren Jian yelled at the two experts. The two of them looked at each other. Their faces flashed with ruthlessness. They didn't expect that Wenren Jian would have such a day. They had had enough. Now that they were being controlled by the mysterious woman, how could they listen to Wenren Jian? Wouldn't that be asking for their lives? Paw! A slap landed on Wenren Jian's face, and he was stunned. Shut up and don't make the two ladies angry. Your Majesty, you're sick, so you should have a good rest. I'll inform Princess Qin of your orders and have her help you deal with the matters of the imperial court. Just focus on recuperating and don't worry about anything. Wenren Jian fainted from anger. Wenren Qin felt like she was in a dream. She thought that she was at the end of the road. She didn't expect that two beautiful women would suddenly appear and help her treat her injuries. The moment the medicine was applied to the wound, she couldn't feel the pain anymore. Princess Qin, you have to get better quickly. Now that the emperor is seriously ill, you are the only one who can make decisions. Xiaolon said. Wenren Qin felt that this must be a dream. How could such a thing happen in reality? It must be that she was too desperate to have such a dream. Chapter 50-10. A few days later, Wenren Qin's injuries were almost healed. She had been experiencing it for the past few days. At first, she felt like she was dreaming. Later, she realized that the dream seemed to be a little long. It was endless, and it was developing for the better. In the end, she finally understood that it was real and not a dream. She asked Xiaolon and Xiaoying who arranged for her to come here. Both of them said that they just wanted her to recover from her injuries. When she could take control of the imperial court, the two of them would leave. Wenren Qin wondered if someone had come to play a trick on her. Later, she thought about it again. She was already in such a state. Who would try so hard to play a trick on her? I heard that my brother is seriously ill. Can I go and see him? Wenren Qin knew that Wenren Jian was definitely not just sick. There must be something else going on. Xiaolon said, Princess Qin, you can walk now. Of course, you can go and see the emperor. But don't use force for the time being. Your bones haven't healed yet. Okay. When Wenren Jian saw Wenren Jian, he was stunned. She had never seen Wenren Jian in such a sorry state. The person lying on the bed, who had become as thin as a stick in just a few days, was actually the high-spirited and ruthless person who ordered people to break her tendons. Wenren Jian and Wenren Qin came. They glared at her fiercely and cursed viciously. They also gave all kinds of warnings and curses. Seeing that Wenren Qin was still unmoved, Wenren Jian became anxious. He started to say soft words, hoping that Wenren Qin would let bygones be bygones. No matter what, they were blood-related siblings. He also promised that as long as she helped him this time, she could have whatever she wanted in the future. He would never let her marry into the imperial family or do anything she didn't like. He even promised to let Tang Wenwan and her mother go. When Wenren Qin saw this scene, she didn't know whether she should laugh or not. It turned out that her high and mighty imperial brother, who looked down on everyone else, was no different from an ordinary person after falling into such a situation. "Brother, as long as you stay sick, won't you be able to achieve all these things you said? If I treat you and make a concession, won't my fate be in your hands again? You can go back on your word tomorrow if you agree today. Do you really think I'm a 3-year-old child? As long as you stay here, I won't have to worry about anything. Isn't that better?" Wenren Jian immediately shook his head and looked at Wenren Qin with pleading eyes. "Sister, you can't do this. Sister, imperial brother, I don't know who you've offended, but since the other party wants you to do this and can help me, I naturally want to make a comeback and no longer be controlled by others. I am also a princess, a daughter of my father. Why should I live like a dog in front of you?" No matter what Wenren Jian said, Wenren Qin refused to listen. "Take good care of imperial brother. Don't worry about the imperial court. I'll take care of it for imperial brother." Wenren Qin saw Wenren Jian's ferocious face. She said to him without changing her expression, "Imperial brother, you should take good care of your body here." After returning to her palace, Wenren Qin asked Xiaolan and Xiaoying what happened to Wenren Jian. Xiaolan smiled and said, "Nothing much. I just cut off a section of his tendons and threw it to feed the dog. Now, he can't even reconnect it." Wenren Qin's scalp tingled when she heard that. But when she thought of what happened to her before, she still felt a little happy. Only when she experienced that kind of pain herself could she truly understand the despair at that time. Peak. Chapter 5011. Princess Qin, take care of yourself. We can stay here for at most a month. After a month, no matter what happens to you, we will leave. While we're still here, we can still help you with whatever you need. Wenren Qin quickly said, "Okay, I will think about what to do next." She had no reason not to eat such a big cake in front of her. To be able to control power and her own fate, she was willing to suffer even if it was a little more tiring. Tang Gua and the other two were sent to the Spirit Potion Valley. "Lao Ning, these are my friends. Take good care of them." At this time, Shang Qing was instructing his martial sister, "Lao Ning, I have some things to do after leaving the valley. When I go out, seal the valley formation and don't receive any guests. Unless I come back, if I don't come back, don't come out again." When Lao Ning heard this, she became anxious. "Senior brother, where are you going? Are you going to find Wenren Qin? I know you are going to find her. Martial brother, Wenren Qin is a princess. She is going to be married. Do you still want to go against Wenren Jian and the imperial court?" "Lao Ning, I have to go. I have to see how she is now and whether she is affected by this matter. If I don't go, I won't be at ease. Martial brother, don't you think about me?" "Lao Ning, we are just martial brother and sister." "You are wrong." Shang Qing's determined look made Lao Ning speechless. She knew Shang Qing's character. No matter how she persuaded him, he would not change his mind. "Then go and come back early. Saving your life is more important." Lao Ning frowned. She glanced at Tang Wenwan and the other two. It was all because of these troublesome people. Otherwise, martial brother would not be so persistent to see Wenren Qin. She heard that this woman was Hero Tang's daughter. She did not know martial arts and was a disaster that all martial artists fought over. Shang Qing and Tang Wenwan said goodbye and left in a hurry. "Since martial brother arranged for you to stay, then you can stay here," Lao Ning said impatiently. She casually arranged a small courtyard for Tang Gua and the others. After arranging them, Lao Ning sent people out of the valley to ask about Shang Qing going to the palace every day. Wenren Qin had sealed off the news from the palace, so no one outside knew what was going on inside. However, she could not hide the news for long. She could only release the news that the emperor was ill. Wenren Qin could help Wenren Jian deal with the court affairs with two masters and the emperor's close attendants as witnesses. The ministers were trembling with fear every day. They were also guessing what illness Wenren Jian had. They didn't dare to have any other thoughts. Everyone knew that Wenren Jian was someone they couldn't afford to offend, even if Wenren Qin was helping to look after the court. However, a month had passed and Wenren Qin was still dealing with the state affairs. Wenren Jian didn't show up at all. One morning, Wenren Jian's personal attendants and two experts came to the imperial court to announce the imperial edict that the throne would be passed to Wenren Qin. This caused an uproar among the civil and military officials. They all clamored to see Wenren Jian. Wenren Qin took them there, and the ministers saw Wenren Jian, who was obsessed with refining the elixir of immortality. Only then did he realize that Wenren Jian was not sick. He was just obsessed with the art of immortality. They wanted to refute, but when they thought of Wenren Jian's cruelty, they didn't dare to. They continued to think about it and found that Wenren Jian, the cruel emperor, was refining the elixir. It seemed quite good. Wenren Qin was a woman after all. What could she achieve in the imperial court? She might only be controlled by them. Chapter 50:12. At this moment, the ministers all agreed that this was a good decision. When Wenren Qin ascended the throne, Wenren Jian would no longer care about the matters of the imperial court. Then they would have more freedom. Wenren Qin's matter went smoothly and she was relieved. As for Wenren Jian who refined pills, it was just a disguise by Xiaolan. She wanted to deceive everyone and find an excuse for Wenren Jian to give up the throne. This excuse did not arouse anyone's suspicion. Wenren Jian saw that there was no way to salvage the situation. He howled, cursed and cried in pain in his room all day long. Wenren Qin ascended the throne. When Shang Qing heard the news, he was in disbelief. Thus, he sneaked into the palace to find Wenren Qin. That's what happened. Speaking of it, I also feel like I'm in a dream. I didn't expect that the mountain in front of me would be solved so easily. Wenren Qin saw Shang Qing and was very happy. This time, she really couldn't help but hug him. Shang Qing didn't avoid it. From surprise to joy now, it was fine as long as she was fine. No matter if she was the emperor or someone else, as long as she was herself and she was fine, he would be fine too. Shang Qing, now that I can control my own fate, I won't encounter the marriage alliance again. Wenren Qin asked hesitantly, are you willing to stay here with me? I know that you are an elegant person. It's too much for you to stay in the harem. So I set up the position of state preceptor. You will be my state preceptor during the day and my imperial husband at night. How about it? Shang Qing didn't react. Wenren Qin said that. She was always thinking about him. How could he bear to reject her? Of course it's good. Wenren Qin thought of Tang Wenwan and her daughter. She asked again, how are Nuan and the others? Even if I am the emperor now, I still don't plan to bring them in. The palace is very complicated. Sometimes, I can't protect them. Now the people of Jianghu don't know where they went. Let them stay in the valley. What do you think? So that's what you think. I was afraid that you would bring them back. Shang Qing said, let them stay in the Medicine Valley. I've already asked Shimi to help. Upon hearing Lan Ying's name, Wenren Qin hesitated. I'm afraid your junior sister is going to be angry. Feelings can't be forced. I hope junior sister can understand this soon. Shengqing held Wenren Qin's hand. I will write a letter now and tell them about the situation here. All right, arrange for someone to send it over as fast as possible. When Laning received the letter, it was already a few days later. Some time ago, she found out that Wenren Qin had ascended the throne and became the empress. At that time, she thought it was a dream. Now that he saw Shangqing's letter, he almost broke down. What imperial advisor? What ghost imperial husband? You guys sure are comfortable. Have you ever thought of me? The letter also mentioned that Tang Wenwan and the others should stay in the Medicine Valley, which made Laning even angrier. What right did she have to let Tang Wenwan and the others live in the Medicine Valley? Since Wenren Qin values these people so much, wouldn't it be better for her to take care of them in the imperial palace? Lan Ying's expression was gloomy. She tore up the letter and didn't intend to show it to Tang Wenwan. In less than 2 days, there was another rumor that Tang Wenwan and his daughter were in the Medicine Valley. When Laning heard that people were rushing to the Medicine Valley, she felt better. Compared to Wenren Qin and Shixiang, when they heard this, they couldn't sit still, right? When Shangqing and Wenren Qin heard this, they couldn't sit still. After hearing this, Shangqing brought people back to the Medicine Valley. Wenren Qin couldn't leave for the time being and could only wait for news in the imperial palace. Chapter 50-13. Before Shangqing arrived at the Medicine Valley was surrounded by people from the pugilistic world. All the roads were blocked. Laning wasn't flustered at all. She just ordered people to report the news to Tang Wenwan and the others from time to time. If Tang Wenwan was sensible, she should leave the Medicine Valley on her own. She should know that she was a disaster and shouldn't cause trouble for the Medicine Valley. At this moment, Tang Wenwan was indeed thinking that way. Hearing that the Medicine Valley was completely surrounded, she was very sad. She knew that no matter where she went, she would only bring trouble to others. It was impossible for her to live a peaceful life. Before she came, the Medicine Valley could be considered as a paradise, and the people of the pugilistic world were a little wary of it. Take me to see Miss Laning. I want to say goodbye to her. Tang Wenwan finally made this decision. Wenren Qin and Shangqing helped her out of kindness. She couldn't stay here and bring trouble to the Medicine Valley. As long as she went out and left with others, the Medicine Valley would naturally be peaceful. Tang Gui didn't say anything. Xiaolan and Xiaoying had rushed back. They were outside. This meant that the matters in the palace were almost settled. She was still waiting to be kidnapped by the next family. She couldn't stay in the Medicine Valley forever. As for Laning, there was nothing to worry about. She was just jealous. With her actions, when Shangqing came back, his family would deal with it. She didn't need to do anything. Besides, this was someone else's territory. There was nothing wrong with them not wanting to keep them. Miss Laning, we're here to say goodbye to you. I heard that there are many people outside. I don't want to implicate the Medicine Valley. Tang Wenwan held Tang Guo's hand in one hand and Mo Xian's hand in the other. Mo Xian was used to this kind of busy life. He felt that it was very exciting. They were the ones who were caught, but the people who caught them seemed to be very unlucky. Even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't believe that Tang Guo wasn't involved in this matter. Unfortunately, he didn't see anything. He only knew that there was something wrong with Tang Guo. This little girl had hidden it too deeply. Since Miss Tang understands, I won't keep you. There are simply too many people outside. The entire Jianghu is eyeing them covetously. I can't sacrifice the Medicine Valley to protect you. Tang Wenwan was not a fool. From the first day, she felt that Laning was rejecting her. Previously, because no one knew that she was in the Medicine Valley, she thought that she could endure and live a peaceful life. Now that he had been found out, there was no point in staying here. Tang Wenwan led Tang Guo and Mo Xian out of the Medicine Valley. As expected, when they reached the entrance of the Medicinal Valley, they saw that it was filled with people outside. Tang Wenwan didn't move forward but stood still. She gathered her emotions before saying, "Please be magnanimous and don't implicate the Medicine Valley. I'll be leaving the Medicine Valley today, but I don't know who I'll be leaving with. I don't know if everyone has discussed it yet." Mo Xian. Why did these words sound so weird to him? "My son family is here. Miss Tang, please come with me." A middle-aged man stood out. "Of all the people here, only my son family has a big business. It's not a problem to raise a few more people." "Master Sun, you're wrong. My Li family village is not inferior to your Sun family. Even the imperial court wants to buy horses from my Li family village. Does your Sun family have horses? Miss Tang, you'd better come with me. If you go to my Li family village, I guarantee that you won't be mistreated." Chapter 50:14. Miss Tang, actually, Xianling's sect is not bad. Snow-blowing sect is not bad. Why don't you come to my sect? The other sects all wanted Tang Wenwan to go to their sect. Tang Wenwan said reluctantly, "Everyone, there is only one Tang Wenwan, and I can't choose one right now. Why don't you all discuss where I should go, so that I don't know what to choose?" Perhaps it was because Tang Wenwan had been raped so many times that she gradually calmed down. But now, she was starting to take over. Didn't these people like to fight over her? It would be best if they could hold a martial arts competition and kill each other. Tang Wenwan's gentle face actually hid a little bit of coldness. She tightly held the two children next to her, silently waiting for these people to fight each other. Tang Gua could sense Tang Wenwan's plan. Her mother's body was delicate and weak, and she was not a delicate person. She just didn't know martial arts, and because of her daughter, she had to compromise on many things. After being caught so many times, she had gained some experience and was planning to sow discord in the martial arts world. She liked this kind of personality. She had already checked Tang Wenwan's pulse. Tang Wenwan's body was called Tianlu, which meant that she was born unable to practice martial arts. Because even if she stuffed those things into her body, they would still leak out. Otherwise, when Hero Tang died, he could directly use his internal energy to help her. Even if she was not a martial arts master, she would still be able to protect herself. But for someone with a body like Tianlu, even if he used his internal energy, it would still leak out. Tang Wenwan probably inherited this body from her grandmother. In other words, not only was she unable to practice martial arts, but she was also weak and had a short lifespan. Tang Guo also had no way to fix Tianlu's body, unless she was in a world where people could practice martial arts. She had medicine in her hand, but Tang Wenwan might not be able to withstand it. She might explode and die before she could fix it. Although she couldn't fix Tianlu's body, she could still help Tang Wenwan's body and prolong her life. In addition, just because Tianlu's body couldn't practice martial arts, it didn't mean they couldn't learn from her. For example, it would be good for them to learn how to make poisons. Now she was trying to find a way to give Tang Wenwan's poison scripture. With Tang Wenwan's brain, she could definitely learn it. She just couldn't learn martial arts. She was outstanding in all aspects. "Everyone, have you decided where I should go?" At this time, Tang Wenwan had more confidence. "If you don't understand, I want to find a place to stay first. When you think about it, I will go with you." After that, Tang Wenwan took Tang Gua to the carriage. She planned to find a place to live for a while. Since so many people knew that she was here, why not lure more people over and let them fight until their heads bled? While Tang Wenwan was thinking, the others fell into silence and looked at each other. They were not used to Tang Wenwan being so cooperative. "Don't stop me. I'm just a weak woman with 2 children. Where can I run to?" It was getting late, and I had to find a place to rest, so I went to the nearest town. If you don't feel at ease, just arrange for 2 people to keep an eye on it. Then, Tang Wenwan asked the coachman to drive. No one stopped them. Those people really arranged for people to follow them. Tang Wenwan calmed down. She was about to take a rest, but the carriage suddenly tilted forward and stopped. The coachman's voice came, "Miss Tang, a large group of people is blocking our way." Tang Wenwan had no choice but to lift the curtain of the carriage and saw a tall figure sitting on a horse. His clothes showed that he was not a Wulin man. "Miss Tang, my name is Abe, the little prince of Serbia. I heard that you were in some danger, so I came to pick you up." Tang Wenwan calmed down. "Have you discussed it with those Wulin heroes? If not, you can go and discuss it with them first." "I, Abe, want to invite Miss Tang back. No one dares to stop me." The little prince of Serbia looked at the group of Wulin people behind him arrogantly. "If anyone dares to stop me, come here." Tang Wenwan clenched her hands. It was great that they were going to fight. Chapter 50-15. Guo don't be afraid. Tang Wenwan thought that Tang Guo would be afraid, so she held her tightly in her arms and comforted Mo Xian. "They won't do anything to us. Let them negotiate." Tang Guo felt that her mother had turned evil. It was clearly the most gentle tone, but the words that came out of his mouth gave people a chill. Thinking about it carefully, it was a little scary. And these greedy Wulin people didn't notice it at all. In their eyes, Tang Wenwan was a person who didn't know martial arts. She was just a fish on the chopping board. Tang Guo and Tang Wenwan were right. Seeing that Abe was going to take Tang Wenwan away, the Wulin people quickly surrounded them. Abe wasn't afraid at all. He didn't even get off the horse. He was much taller than the Wulin people. Sitting on the horse, he did look like a fierce tiger. "Friends of the Wulin of the Central Plains, I'm here to invite Miss Tang to Sarah." "Why are you stopping me?" "Prince Abe, Miss Tang is a member of the Wulin of the Central Plains. Do you think she'll go just because you want her to? You're bullying a weak woman. What kind of hero are you?" Abe laughed. "You don't have to hide what you're thinking. Today, I must invite Miss Tang back. What can you do to me? If you insist on stopping me, then ask the warriors around me first." As soon as Abe finished speaking, 7 or 8 warriors immediately stood in front of these Wulin people. "Let's not talk nonsense. Let's have a competition. If anyone can defeat the warriors of Sarah, I'll leave the Central Plains today and go back to Sarah." The Wulin people looked at each other and finally decided to fight. "Let's fight." The sound of fighting came from outside. Tang Guo could see a smile on Tang Wenwan's face. She even lifted the curtain to peek from time to time. "Mother, will Prince Abe or those Wulin people win?" Tang Guo asked. In fact, she already knew. She just wanted to find a topic to talk about. Tang Wenwan said, "If the Wulin people only fight today, Prince Abe will definitely win." Tang Wenwan was still a little worried when she thought of being taken to Sarah. However, she was already used to this kind of rush. What worried her the most was still Tang Guo. However, these few experiences gave her some hope in her heart. It seemed that these people with evil intentions were not impossible to resist. They still had enemies. She was looking forward to seeing the little prince of the kingdom of Sel meet his destined enemy. "Doesn't that mean we have to follow them to Serbia?" Tang Wenwan hugged Tang Guo and patted her back. "Are you afraid?" "With Mother here, I'm not afraid. I'm only afraid that Mother's body won't be able to take it." Tang Wenwan quickly said, "Nyang's body is not so delicate. It's much better recently." She didn't know why, but even though she was constantly on the move, her body was still much better than before. Could it be that her mood had changed recently? She thought that since there was no way to escape from all of this and live a peaceful life in hiding, it would be better to let these people become chaotic. It would be best if they all killed each other. Tangwa didn't say anything else. She listened carefully to the movements outside. If there were no accidents, Prince Abe of Sarah would win. Then the three of them would follow him to Sarah. Tangwa was thinking about what she would do after going to Sarah. Chapter 50:16. The Sarah Kingdom was located on the grassland. It was not a big country, but it had many warriors, whose strength was not inferior to the masters of the Central Plains. Moreover, they were born with great strength. Many years ago, some martial arts manuals from the Central Plains were spread to their country, which made their warriors more and more powerful. Ordinary martial arts masters could only fight to a draw with their warriors. The country was rich in cattle and sheep, which they raised on the vast grassland. However, they had a great yearning for the Central Plains. They envied the diversity of species and the mountains and rivers here. They wanted to occupy a piece of land in the Central Plains and move their country there. However, due to various reasons, they had never been able to do so. In recent years, the people of the Sarah Kingdom often came to the Central Plains to observe where they could start. It was impossible to attack the Central Plains directly. In the end, they found that they could get something they wanted from the Wulin of the Central Plains. Later, they learned about Tang Wingwon. They wanted the martial arts manuals and the gold and silver left by Master Tang. With the gold and silver, it would be easier for them to occupy a new territory and establish a country. In a short time, Tangwa had already thought of what to do in the Sarah Kingdom. She was sure that this method would make the people of the Sarah Kingdom have no time to care about the Central Plains. 2 hours later, Abe's voice interrupted Tangwa's thoughts. You've seen the warriors of the Sarah Kingdom. It seems that there is still a big gap between you. I know that the martial arts masters of the Central Plains didn't show up today, but a loss is a loss. I'm going to take Miss Tang away. Tangwa lifted the curtain a little and saw the pale faces of the martial artists who had been beaten to the point of vomiting blood. There were also a few who seemed to have suffered great injuries and were covered in blood. It was clear that the warriors of Serbia did not show any mercy. These martial artists were glaring angrily at Abu, who was on the horse. Miss Tang, we can go now. Abe turned back and talked to Tang Wengwan outside the carriage. Tang Wengwan replied, okay. She was prepared for this result and was not afraid at all. She didn't care where she went, as long as her daughter was safe. Tang Wengwan was weak and fell asleep not long after the carriage started. Tangwa leaned against Tang Wengwan and looked into Mo Xian's eyes. Mo Xian blinked at her and moved directly to her side. He whispered in her ear, why aren't you afraid? Why should I be afraid? Mo Xian said, we're on the way to the Sarah Kingdom. Maybe we can't come back in the future. Besides, do you know some customs of the Sarah Kingdom? I don't. Do you know? Of course, I know, Mo Xian said in a low voice. I heard that there's a horrible custom in Serbia. Their women have to marry their brothers at the same time. Tangwa remembered this. The storyline only mentioned a little bit about it. It wasn't strange for small countries to have such customs. They have very few women. Sarah Kingdom, Xians. Mo Xian continued, after they get married, those women will keep giving birth to children, one a year. Mo was his kingdom's Sarah Kingdom. The ones who were brought back by Abu were probably the wives of Abu and his brothers. I don't think I need to say more. You should know what happened. Chapter 50:17. Tangwa frowned. Of course, she wouldn't allow such a thing to happen, but she felt uncomfortable because of Tang Wengwan's experience in the Sarah state. Tang Wengwan was so miserable. In the original plot, Tang Wenwan survived so many things because he didn't want the original owner to lose his mother. So we have to find a way not to go to the Sarah state. Speaking of this, Mo Xian's little face was full of seriousness, and then he clenched his fists and waved them hard. My parents are so unreliable. I left so many marks, but they didn't see any of them. I don't know what they are doing. They lost their son. Don't they care about him? I'm beginning to suspect that I was picked up from the streets and not my own. Don't they care about their son? It's so annoying. Mo Xian saw that Tang Guo was deep in thought and thought that what he said scared her, so he quickly patted her on the shoulder to comfort her. I will try my best to help you escape. Tang Guo was pulled back to reality. Seeing Mo Xian's serious look, she patted him on the head and said, "What can you do with such a small body? Don't look down on me. I also know Kung Fu." Mo Xian was anxious. Anyway, I will find a way to prevent Aunt Tang from experiencing that kind of thing. Come on. You are too young to help. I believe that my mother will be blessed by God. She has been unlucky for so long, and now she is going to be lucky. Tang Guo said with a smile, "Believe it or not, my mother's trip to the Serb kingdom this time will definitely turn misfortune into blessing and nothing will happen to her." I believe it, Mo Xian said without hesitation. Tang Guo was surprised. You believe me so much. Of course I believe you. Do you think I'm a fool? Mo Xian came to Tang Guo and stared at her with bright eyes. Little girl, how can you lie to me? You must have some tricks up your sleeve. By the way, did you have any adventure? Otherwise, whoever catches you will be unlucky. Look, Tower Lord Qian of the Seamless Tower captured the two of you, but he was defeated. The Seamless Tower directly replaced him. Now, we don't even know if Xing Feng is alive or dead. As for that Emperor Wen Rinjian, outsiders say that he passed the throne to Princess Qin because he was addicted to alchemy. This kind of nonsense is just to deceive children. Wen Rinjian didn't look like a person who would give up power. How could he give up the throne? There must be a trap. Although I don't know what happened, Wen Rinjian must be in trouble. Previously, the martial artists wanted to snatch us away, but little Prince Abe sent us over. He beat them up until they spat out blood, but they didn't dare to get angry. I'm really looking forward to what will happen after we go to Serbia. Mo Xian rubbed his face and exhaled. Speaking of which, I'm starting to worry about Serbia. Tang Guo, are you imagining things? Have you been eating too well lately? Keep pretending, keep pretending. It's fine if you don't want to admit it. Something must have happened in Serbia. I believe in my intuition. Mo Xian had a look of "don't lie to a child" on his face, making Tang Guo speechless. This child is really good at imagining things. He can really think of everything. Hey, can you tell me what's going on? Mo Ling handed a piece of crisp candy to Tang Guo's mouth. I'll serve you to eat, so you can tell me. Tang Guo opened her mouth and ate the crisp candy. It was quite delicious. She turned her eyes and pointed at her legs. My legs are sore. Let me massage them first. Chapter 50:18. Mo Xian rolled his eyes, but he still quickly massaged her legs. Is it comfortable? It's very comfortable. Use more strength. Mo Xian, what about now? Maintain this strength. Then tell me. I promise I won't tell anyone else. Mo Xian whispered. I'm tight-lipped. Even if others beat me to death, I won't say a word. Tang Guo crossed her arms and looked at Mo Xian massaging her legs. She smiled slightly. I did have a fortuitous encounter. What kind of encounter? It was when I was at Carefree Mountain Villa. One day, I was playing alone at the back of the mountain. Suddenly, an old man with a white beard appeared. System, bluff, bluff, bluff as much as you can. Hurry up and bluff this kid. And then? Mo Xian asked anxiously. Mo Xian's expression made Tangguo laugh. She held back her laughter and continued. The old man said that what happened to my mother and I was pitiful. He was the mountain god behind Carefree Mountain Villa. It was my mother and I who alarmed him. He couldn't bear to see what happened, so he gave me his blessing. His blessing. Mo Xian's eyes widened. Were there really immortals in this world? The old man said that he would give me a blessing to turn misfortune into luck. No matter what bad things happen in the future, I would be able to turn misfortune into luck and be safe. Tangguo said this with a serious face. She found that Mo Xian seemed to believe her. She couldn't help but laugh. And then? Mo Xian asked anxiously. Tangguo cleared her throat. Then, the mountain god disappeared. Then, 2 days later, Carefree Mountain Villa's eternal boat disappeared. You know about this, right? I suspected that he bullied my mother. The mountain god couldn't stand it, so he took him away. Mo Xian didn't want to believe it, but ever since Eternal Boat disappeared, it hadn't appeared again. Could it be that there really were immortals in this world, and Eternal Boat was taken away by the mountain god? Other than this explanation, there didn't seem to be any other explanation. Eternal Boat was one of the best in the martial arts world. Not many people dared to provoke him. He thought that no one in the martial arts world could make Eternal Boat disappear without anyone noticing. Then, my mother and I were taken to Seamless Tower by Xingfeng. You know what happened after that? Grandpa Mountain God gave me his blessing to be able to turn misfortunes into blessings every time. That is why I am not afraid. Mo Xian was taken aback by her words. If there's a chance, can I go back to Carefree Villa with you and visit Grandpa Mountain God? Of course, that's not a problem. But you have to massage my legs properly. Once it's comfortable, I'll introduce you. Mo Xian massaged Tangguo's legs seriously. As long as I can see Grandpa Mountain God, it's okay for me to massage your legs. Prince Abe, could the two children be telling the truth? Although Tangguo and Mo Xian's voices were low, it couldn't be hidden from people who practiced martial arts. Therefore, Abe and his subordinates could hear the voices in the carriage. Moreover, Abe was riding beside the carriage. Abe said with disdain, "You believe the words of a child." The disappearance of the Eternal Ark was mostly due to him. The master of the Seamless Tower had been defeated by someone else. As for the Emperor, it's not like you haven't seen the struggles of the royal family. It's most likely Wenren Qin's doing. Everything is just a coincidence. Abe didn't believe in Grandpa Mountain God. If there was, would the mother and daughter be invited back by him? However, Mo Xian was fooled by Tangguo. His eyes were filled with envy as he looked at Tangguo. How could Grandpa Mountain God like this little girl? He didn't know if a smart child like him could be liked. Chapter 50-19. After 2 months of traveling, Tangguo and the others finally arrived at the grassland. They would arrive at the base camp of Serbia in 1 day. Because of Tangguo's help, Tang Wenwan didn't show any symptoms of discomfort. A day later, Tangguo and the others arrived at the base camp of Serbia. She also saw that there were so many cows. Standing outside the tent, she enjoyed the scenery of cows and sheep eating grass. Such scenery was rare. Soon, this place would become a scene of thousands of cows and sheep galloping. On the first day of Tang Wenwan's arrival, she was informed by Abe that Abe and his 2 brothers were going to marry her. In their opinion, as long as they married Tang Wenwan, they could slowly dig out the things in her hands. The main reason was that Tang Wenwan's complexion was too beautiful. Everyone was infatuated with her face. It was impossible to find such a beautiful woman in Serbia. Abe and his two brothers were very happy. They were still discussing how to let Tang Wenwan give birth to beautiful children for them. Some people in Serbia were also interested in Tangwa. They were discussing which family would be lucky to have Tangwa as a beautiful little girl when she grew up. Tangwa had only been here for one day, but there were many little boys around her. They were all from Serbia. These boys' families told them that a beautiful little girl had come to the Central Plains. When she grew up in the future, it would depend on their own ability to marry her. Therefore, this group of half-grown children all came to Tangwa to show off in front of her. We three brothers are strong. We are only 10 years old now, but we are already half a head taller than our peers. When we grow up, we will definitely be taller and stronger than them. Father said that those who grow up fast will grow slower later. Look at us. Tangwa turned her head and saw the two little fat boys. The other children also introduced themselves. After that, they asked Tangwa to choose a family to play with. Looking at the situation, she had to choose. Mo Sien was very angry. Who do you think you are? Do you deserve to play with her? What's the use of being tall and strong? He's more like a rash and silly person. Originally, these children had not seen Mo Sien. Now that he had spoken, pairs of angry eyes immediately landed on him, emitting a ferocious glow. Mo Sien was not afraid at all. They were just some big guys. How dare they play with Tangwa? Why don't you take a look at yourself? Little skinny chicken, are you unconvinced? The three brothers, who were the tallest and strongest among them, walked up to Mo Sien and sneered at him. You're so skinny that even the wind can blow you away. How dare you fight with us for her? After saying that, one of them reached out to grab Mo Sien's collar, intending to lift him up and throw him down. Mo Sien could be considered to have practiced martial arts for a while. He dodged nimbly and jumped up to kick the child's face. The child was kicked to the ground. Seeing this, the other two brothers came over to help. Mo Sien fought with them. These children also learned martial arts, but they were not as talented as Mo Sien. Mo Sien had been taught martial arts since he was young. Although he had not practiced martial arts for a long time, his progress was very fast. In just a few moves, the three brothers were beaten until they cried out in pain. When the other children saw this, they rushed up and fought with Mo Sien. Tangwa sat at the side, eating cheese and watching with great interest. System, host, if you don't help, what will happen to you if you break it? I'll just fix it. System, what a pitiful child. Besides, he's good at martial arts. He may not be at a disadvantage. When children fight, as long as no one dies, the adults in Serbia will not care. They are very happy to see children fight. Chapter 50-20. It turned out that Tangwa was right. Although Mo Sien was much thinner than the children on the grassland, his kung fu was really good. He was now proving with practice that the bigger one was, the stronger one was. Most of the children here were relatively strong, but their kung fu was much worse. Although they surrounded Mo Sien and attacked him, in fact, they were like a group of lambs in a wolf's den. They were beaten by Mo Sien in a few moves. Looking at the children on the ground, Mo Sien was in a good mood. He snorted at them, rubbed his hands, and then ran quickly to Tangwa. How is it? Am I good? Mo Sien looked as if he was asking for credit. He leaned close to Tangwa and whispered, when I grow up, I will be more powerful. In the future, we don't have to run around like this. At that time, I can protect you. Mo Sien felt that although Grandpa Mountain God helped, these unreasonable people would always take Tang Wenwan and her mother away. The journey was actually a kind of torment. When he became strong, he would beat up those who wanted to bully them. He would not give them a chance to take them away. Mo Xian also seemed to have found his goal. He decided to practice more martial arts every day when he was free and strive to achieve this goal as soon as possible. He could no longer rely on his parents. He had left so many marks, but the other party did not find any of them. If he waited for them to find him, he would have been dead. As for him, he had better save himself. Anyway, his parents had always been unreliable. Who knows, they might even wish for him to get lost so that he wouldn't disturb their blissful lives. Didn't you win? Why are you sighing? Tang Guo noticed that Mo Xian's originally excited expression had suddenly turned serious, and in the end, dejected. That was why she asked. Mo Xian sat down beside Tang Guo and casually picked up a blade of grass to play with. My parents may not come to me. Do you have a bad relationship with your parents? It's not bad. Every time they go to play, they always leave me behind. They don't want me to come to this world. Otherwise, why haven't they found me after so long? I've left so many marks. I heard from Mother that your parents must have brewed medicine for you when you were young. That's why your foundation is so good. You can achieve twice the result with half the effort. This shows that your parents still value you. Since he didn't come in time, he probably didn't notice the mark. Tang Guo didn't believe that Mo Xian's parents didn't treat him well. With Mo Xian's character, it was obvious that he grew up in a happy family. At the very most, his parents were a bit more affectionate. Most of the time, they preferred to spend time with just the two of them. However, this did not mean that they did not care about Mo Xian. I hope so. Mo Xian chewed on the grass and said, anyway, I don't have much hope. I'd better save myself. I'll practice martial arts hard and strive to restore your freedom as soon as possible. Speaking of which, I really have to rely on myself. In the past, no matter what I did, I always had people by my side. Now that I've suddenly become a prisoner, I know how important it is to have a good martial arts. Good luck then, Tang Guo patted Mo Xian on the shoulder. But before that, you should go and deal with them. Who? Mo Xian followed Tang Guo's gaze and looked back. The scene in that direction really startled him. He saw a large group of children running toward him aggressively. The peak. Chapter 50-21. There are more than 50 children. Can you handle them? This time, Tang Guo was not sure. Although these children were not good at martial arts, they had some strength. More than 50 children could easily cause trouble for Mo Xian if they rushed up together. Mo Xian stood up fearlessly. We'll know after we fight. Why don't you step back? Mo Xian whispered to Tang Guo, if you feel something wrong, go and call Auntie Tang, or I'm afraid I'll be beaten to death by them. As the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. I'll give you something. Wear it when you fight. Tang Guo took out a pair of small boxing gloves from her cloth pocket. This is a pair of boxing gloves. You can wear it to protect your fists and relieve some of the force. Mo Xian took the boxing gloves and said happily, thank you. When he got the boxing gloves, he felt that they were special. When he put them on, he was a little surprised. It was a pair of boxing gloves. Why did it feel like nothing when he put them on? This thing was not simple. He was not interested in finding out where Tang Guo got them. The group of children had come over and challenged him. Mo Xian fought with the group of children again. He found that with the boxing gloves on, he only needed to use 30% of his strength to repel the children who attacked him. This undoubtedly increased his confidence a lot. He thought that he could defeat these children without calling for help. Tang Guo sat in the same place and ate with relish, watching Mo Xian display his invincible might. Not long after, Tang Wenwan came. The fact that Immerse was beaten by dozens of children alarmed her. She trotted over quickly, but she didn't expect to see Immerse beating the group of children who were taller than him to the ground. Around Immerse, there was a sound of wailing. The eyes of the children on the grassland were full of fear when they looked at Immerse. Immerse. Seeing that Immerse was still standing, Tang Wenwan was relieved and hurried over. Are you all right? It was because Immerse was not much better. His clothes were torn and he looked a little embarrassed, but he was much better than those children who had lost their fighting strength and were wailing on the ground. Even though Immerse was beating people up, he was also beaten up. After all, there were more than 50 people, and it was impossible for him to escape unscathed. There were still bruises on his face, but he had enjoyed the fight. These children would probably not cause trouble for him again. Auntie Tang, I'm fine, Immerse answered and gave a big smile to Tang Guo behind him, waving his fist at her. If it wasn't for the boxing gloves that Tang Guo gave him, he might not have been able to beat these kids to the ground. He didn't know what these gloves were made of, but they were so powerful that they were comparable to divine weapons. Even Immerse was a little reluctant to return it. On his way back, he walked to Tang Guo's side and whispered, "Lend me these boxing gloves for a few days. I'll return them to you later, okay? You like it?" Immerse nodded. "I like it. This is a treasure. When I use it to fight, I only need to use 30% of my usual strength. It can save me a lot of energy. Not only that, it can also reduce a lot of the opponent's strength. I fought with those brats for so long, but my fists didn't hurt at all. Immerse, you haven't forgotten that your life is mine, have you?" Immerse was puzzled, but he still said, "I haven't forgotten. Is there anything you need me to do?" "No. Since your life is mine, you're my man. These boxing gloves are mine, so I'm giving them to you as a gift to one of my own. What do you think?" Immerse came to his senses and laughed. How could he refuse? In fact, it was not so hard to accept that he had no freedom. Chapter 50-22. Tang Guo was not in a hurry to cause trouble. Recently, Abu and his brothers were busy preparing for the wedding. Although Serbia was small, they still attached great importance to the wedding, so it would take more than half a month to prepare. She planned to cause trouble when they held the wedding with Tang Wenwan. Recently, she would talk to those cows, sheep, and horses to cultivate their relationship. As for Immerse, since the news that he defeated more than 50 children by himself spread, those children had been convinced and no longer caused trouble for them. Seeing that the wedding day was getting closer and closer, Tang Wenwan's smile became less and less. Every day, Abe and his brothers would come to visit her and give her some trinkets. Seeing Tang Wenwan's indifferent attitude, they were not angry. In their opinion, as long as they married Tang Wenwan, everything would be fine in the future. They asked her to give birth to a few more children, and then she would have to obey. Even if it was for the sake of her children, she would have to tell them where the treasures and martial arts manuals were hidden. On the day of the wedding, Tang Wenwan was very cooperative and dressed as a bride of Serbia. Seeing that Tang Guo and Immerse were very obedient and had no intention of causing trouble, Abu only arranged 2 people to watch over her. There would be a lot of complicated things at the wedding, so Tang Guo slipped out of the scene when no one was paying attention. Immerse noticed and followed her out. "I can't beat them alone." Immerse followed Tang Guo and said, "Now I can only be patient. When I'm more powerful, I can take you away. I'm still a child now, so I can't do so many things." Tang Guo was amused by Immerse's words. "You also know that you're a child." Immerse blushed. "I can't help it. Growing up is not something that can be done in a day. I have to grow up slowly, right?" Yes. Tangua held back her smile. Whose child was this? He was so cute. Mo Xian said, I know you don't want to face it. In fact, I'm also very angry. These people are really hateful. If only I had started practicing martial arts earlier. Maybe I could have changed something, Mo Xian said dejectedly. Tangua pinched his face and said, Grandpa Mountain God will bless us. Grandpa Mountain God's blessing is efficacious. He will definitely protect Mother from being bullied. Mo Xian did not dare to discourage Tangua and only nodded. He wondered if Grandpa Mountain God was not acclimatized to this place. His blessings had not been fulfilled after so long. Or was it because he was too far away and this place was not under his control? That's right, Central Plains is a country in the Central Plains. The grassland had its own grassland countries. If there were mountains in the Central Plains, they would be called mountain gods. There were no mountains here, only endless grasslands. What kind of god was there? Grass deity. While Mo Xian was still pondering, Tangua didn't have much time to dawdle. She took out a piccolo and played it. A beautiful melody sounded. Mo Xian did not disturb her. In his opinion, this song was a little sad, so he decided to let her be sad for a while. However, he did not know that this was a song for animal control. When the song was played, the horses, cows, and sheep on the grassland instantly became excited and ran madly towards the depths of the grassland. Originally, the horses, cows, and sheep on the grassland were in a free-range state. Once they ran out, no one could stop them. Even the livestock at the wedding banquet broke free from all the restraints on their bodies. They completely ignored what was happening here and ran madly outside while listening to the song for animal control, as if they were crazy. Chapter 50-23. Tang Wenwan was already standing on the woolen blanket with the help of two maids. She was about to walk to the front of the Abu brothers. She didn't expect such an unforeseen event to happen. Tang Wenwan looked at the cows and sheep that were standing on both sides. They actually broke free from all their restraints and ran away. They even trampled on the prepared items. Her sad expression turned into anticipation. Could it be that she was a jinx? Wherever she went, she would bring misfortune. If that was the case, it wasn't bad. Tang Wenwan could be considered to have experienced a big scene. She was extremely calm now. The cows and sheep at the wedding site suddenly ran away like crazy. They even trampled on all kinds of items. Those that couldn't be trampled on were even knocked down. In her opinion, today's wedding couldn't continue. However, she didn't expect things to be much more serious than she thought. Not good. King, little prince, the cows, sheep, and horses suddenly went crazy. They all ran into the depths of the grassland. None of the people present were able to remain calm when they heard the news from the people outside. Livestock like cows, sheep, and horses were what they relied on to survive. If they were gone, they would have nothing left. There would be no food, no clothes, and they couldn't be used to exchange for other items in the Central Plains. The king and Abu also couldn't sit still. At this time, there was no need to get married. Men, go chase after the cows, sheep, and horses. Today's wedding is cancelled. The king ordered and all the warriors present left. Now, there was still a problem in front of them. All the horses had run away. They didn't have any mounts at all. They could only chase after them on foot. Tangua's animal taming song was to let the livestock go into the depths of the grassland. When they were hungry, they would stop to eat some grass. When they were full, they would continue on their way. It would take a lot of effort for these people to chase after all of them. Could it be that Grandpa Mountain God is showing his power? Mo Xian saw with his own eyes that the cows and sheep that were eating grass suddenly cried out and ran madly into the depths of the grassland. Needless to say, it looked really spectacular. At first, he didn't feel that something was wrong. He thought that this was normal on the grassland. Later, more and more cows, sheep, and horses were running in the same direction. It didn't look normal. What made him realize that something was wrong was that the bustling wedding venue seemed to have stopped. All the warriors of the Kingdom of Serbia came out and chased after the cows, sheep, and horses. As he chased, he shouted, "Don't let the cows, sheep, and horses run away." Like I said, Grandpa Mountain God will definitely not stand by and do nothing. System, host, continue to fool him. Hurry up and fool this brat. Mo Xian agreed. It's probably because of the long journey and the fact that Grandpa Mountain Deity is not acclimatized to the place. Plus, he needs to communicate with the local deities, so he's a few days late. Now their cows, sheep, and horses have all run away. Not to mention getting married, they don't know how to live their lives if they can't get them back. Mo Xian said with a smile, they rely on this for a living. Without these things, their lives will be difficult. Maybe one day, I'll have to eat grass to survive. So, they can't do bad things. Look, if they do bad things and anger Grandpa Mountain God won't let them go. When Tangua said this, Abe was passing by her with some people. He was about to chase after them, but he suddenly paused. He couldn't help but think of the conversation between the two children. The mountain god is angry. Chapter 50-24. Was it really because of his behavior that the mountain god who protected Tang Wenwan and her daughter got angry and took away all the cattle, sheep, and horses? Such a thing had never happened on the grassland and it couldn't have been man-made. No one had such great ability. He couldn't think of any other possibility except for God. Abu didn't dare to delay and chased after them. Now was not the time to think about other things. He had to get back the cattle, sheep, and horses they relied on for survival as soon as possible. All the warriors of the Kingdom of Serbia chased after them. Even some of the half-grown children followed them. Most of the people who stayed were women, old people, and younger children. They all looked at the place where the cattle, sheep, and horses were grazing in confusion and suddenly knelt down. God, please forgive us. God, please forgive us. In their opinion, such a strange thing must have happened because they accidentally offended the god and the god punished them. Tang Wenwan also came to Tangua's side and held the two children's hands. You don't have to worry. Our crisis should be over. A day passed and the warriors still hadn't returned. 2 days later, Abu arranged for two people to come back and find Tang Wenwan. The little prince said you can go. Tang Wenwan didn't want to go. I'm a weak woman. Where do you want me to go? There are no horses, no ox carts, no food, and no water. Abu's two men were in trouble. The little prince only asked them to let Tang Wenwan go and not hurt them. They didn't consider that Tang Wenwan couldn't walk out with the two children on her feet. Why don't I stay here and wait for your prince to come back? Doesn't he want to marry me? Tang Wenwan asked. The two warriors revealed an awkward expression. Marriage? Now everyone guessed that Prince Abu brought this woman back by force and wanted to marry her. This angered the god and made their cattle, sheep, and horses run away. I'll stay here and wait for your prince to come back, Tang Wenwan said. Wouldn't it be suicide to let her go out by herself? She would send her back the same way she was invited back. Tangua saw Tang Wenwan's pride and felt a little happy. Her mother had been holding back for too long. This could make her happy for so long. She might as well do something else. Tangwa decided that she would first stop the cows, sheep, and horses. When the Abu people were disobedient, she would let them go. If he chased the cows, sheep, and horses back now, Abu might doubt his previous deduction and even want to marry her mother. Then, she would do it again and make the horses, cows, and sheep run. After making this decision, Tangwa continued to play the animal taming song. The beast taming song wasn't an ordinary song, it could travel very far. Sure enough, a few days later, Abu brought the warriors and herded the cows, sheep, and horses back. The women who were originally gloomy also revealed joyful smiles. Abe had no intention of marrying Tang Wenwan for the time being, but he also had no intention of sending her back. A month later, Abe decided to continue with the wedding. This time, the wedding wasn't that complicated. He felt that if the wedding was held quickly, there shouldn't be any problems. Tangwa saw that he was disobedient again, so on the day of the wedding, she repeated the same trick. The warriors of Serbia continued to chase the cows, sheep, and horses. When they came back, the women of Serbia stood up first and asked Abe to drive Tang Wenwan, an unknown person, out of their country. After 2 times of chasing the cows, sheep, and horses, Abe also understood that there was no way to take Tang Wenwan and the treasure behind her. He had to listen to everyone and decided to drive Tang Wenwan away. "I want to stay in the grassland. I don't want to leave." Tang Wenwan felt that living in the grassland was not bad. She could stay away from disputes. Abe refused. "Tomorrow morning, I will ask someone to send you out." Someone suggested that he kill Tang Wenwan. But he was not afraid. He was afraid that this would anger the so-called mountain god. It turned out that he was right. That night, their cows, sheep, and horses ran away again. Therefore, there was no way to send Tang Wenwan and the others back the next day. Abe. Chapter 50-25. Prince, all the horses, cows, and sheep have been driven back. Abu looked very conflicted. "Got it. Build the fence higher." Abu ordered again. But when he remembered that the cows, sheep, and horses had broken through the fence, he suddenly felt that no matter how high the fence was, the cows, sheep, and horses could still break through. Now he was completely sure that Tang Wenwan had something to do with the horses, cows, and sheep running away crazily. He originally thought that he had brought back a mountain of gold and silver, but now it had become a hot potato that he couldn't send away. "Go and invite Miss Tang here." Abu had completely lost interest in Tang Wenwan. Now the entire Sarah kingdom hoped that Tang Wenwan could be sent away. Since this person came, the cows, sheep, and horses had run away several times. They were really afraid that one day they wouldn't be able to get her back. Compared to the illusory mountain of gold and silver, they cared more about what they had in their hands. Who knew where the mountain of gold and silver was and whether they could get it? "Miss Tang, what are your plans now?" Tang Wenwan clearly felt that Abu was much more polite to her. Along the way, the people who led the way were a little afraid when they saw her. Obviously, the things that had happened these few times scared them. Of course, Tang Wenwan didn't know what was going on. She was a jinx who brought disaster to herself, but now it came to others. "I want to stay in the grassland and live a peaceful life here." Tang Wenwan expressed her request. If she returned to the Central Plains, she would be robbed. No matter how long she could live a peaceful life, every day counted. Taking advantage of this time, she could also teach the martial arts that she had memorized to Gua. She would wait for the people from the Central Plains to find her. The corner of Abu's mouth twitched. "Then I'll give you a tent and ask someone to bring you water and food every day. How about it?" "Thank you, Prince Abu." "You're welcome." Abu smiled embarrassedly. As long as Tang Wenwan was satisfied and the mountain god didn't get angry and run away from the Sarah Kingdom's horses, cows, and sheep, everything was fine. Not everyone could get the things behind Tang Wenwan. Tang Guo followed Tang Wenwan into the spacious tent. The people who had been watching them were also dismissed by Abu. Not only that, Abu also warned the people of Serbia not to disturb them if there was nothing important. If they had any requests, they should try their best to help. Everyone in Serbia knew that Tang Wenwan and the other two were blessed by the mountain god. If the mountain god was rude to them, the mountain god would be very rude to the horses and sheep of the kingdom of Sel. Thus, the three of them were finally able to live a peaceful life. Tang Wenwan finally passed on the martial arts secret book that he had memorized to Tang Guo. Tang Guo naturally gave him face and made rapid progress. She even memorized all the martial arts secret books. A few days ago, Mo Xian had been thinking that if there was anything Tang Guo didn't know, he must teach her well. No matter what, he had learned it earlier than her. However, when he saw Tang Guo's rapid improvement, he no longer had such thoughts. He quietly practiced martial arts every day. Tang Guo's cultivation speed really scared him. He didn't dare to continue cultivating. He was afraid that he would be surpassed in no time. Tang Guo didn't hide her strength at all this time. She tried her best to improve her martial arts as fast as possible. At first, Tang Wenwan only wanted Tang Guo to have the ability to protect herself in the future. He didn't expect his daughter's martial arts talent to be so good. 10 days of practice was equivalent to a year of practice for others. Chapter 50-26. If her father was still alive, he would be happy to see such a genius, wouldn't he? Fortunately, her father had asked her to memorize some martial arts manuals. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to find such good martial arts manuals for her daughter. When her father left, he also told her that there were mountains of gold and silver and countless martial arts manuals. With her ability, she wouldn't be able to keep them. Therefore, he didn't leave those things to her. He only asked her to memorize some martial arts manuals and pass them on to future children or juniors she thought were good. Tang Wenwan didn't expect that the martial arts manuals her father asked her to memorize actually had other secrets. It was just that the secrets were hidden so deeply that it was difficult for ordinary people to find them. After Tang Guo memorized all the martial arts manuals, she found that something was wrong. She found that there was a map in these martial arts manuals. If she guessed correctly, it was very likely to be the map of the mountains of gold and silver and those martial arts manuals. Although she knew, Tang Guo didn't have any thoughts about it. Those things didn't mean much to her at all. There were cultivation methods and she could create her own. She didn't lack these. Any one of the treasures in the system space could be compared to mountains of gold and silver. Therefore, those things should wait for the fated people to find them. When everything calmed down, she would write down these martial arts manuals so that when the future generations found them, they might find the opportunity in them. Time passed in a flash and a year and a half passed. In other words, Tang Guo and the other two had been living a peaceful life for a year and a half. Even though Tang Guo was still a little girl, after more than a year of practicing martial arts, she showed amazing talent. Tang Wenwan didn't know how powerful her martial arts were now. "Aunt Tang, I don't know. Every time we fought, I felt that Sister Guo left some leeway, so I really don't know how powerful she is." Mo Xian's face was bitter. This was a real little pervert. His life was too bitter. He couldn't even compare to a little girl. Tang Wenwan nodded gently. "I see. I don't know if Guo is a match for those martial arts masters. Her daughter was so powerful. It was like a dream. If she had known that Guo was so powerful, she would have secretly let her practice martial arts. Perhaps she could have gotten rid of those people's competition very early. Aunt Tang, you don't have to worry. Even if we can't defeat those martial arts masters, we still have Grandpa Mountain God to protect us. Tang Wenguan knew about Grandpa Mountain God. She had come back to ask Tang Guo about it after hearing what the women in Seri Kingdom were talking about. Tang Guo then told her what she had said to Mo Xian. Were there immortals in this world? Tang Wenguan didn't believe it at first, but thinking of what had happened before, if it weren't for the mountain god's power, would they have been able to avoid these dangers so easily? Especially when the horses, cows, and sheep had run away several times. It couldn't be so coincidental. Xian where did Guo go? Tang Wenguan didn't see Tang Guo for a long time, so she was still a little worried. Mo Xian replied, most likely, they rode horses for fun. Sister Guo is very popular. The horses, cows, and sheep on the grassland seem to be raised by her. They are very close to her. It's also because of this that the people in Seri Kingdom respect us more and more. That's why we can eat and drink here for free. Tang Wenguan said, but she changed the topic again. It's their own fault for inviting us back. Who else would we eat if not them? This is the consequence of what they did. Mo Xian, he remembered that Aunt Tang wasn't like this at the beginning. Chapter 50-27. Mo Xian took Tang Wenguan to find Tang Guo. After a while, he found her riding a horseback, followed by a group of children. It was hard to imagine that a 7- or 8-year-old girl would be followed by a group of children who were older than her and were chasing after her on horses. Mo Xian touched his head and said, Sister Guo has replaced me as the king of the children. Now she is the boss of the children here. Tang Wenguan smiled and said, but those children are still afraid of you. They are afraid of me. If I don't beat them, I will be the one who is beaten. Mo Xian said. Tang Wenguan agreed and said, to deal with these people, whether they are adults or children, only by beating them can they not dare to bully you again. At this time, Tang Guo had stopped. She jumped down from the horse and ran to Tang Wenguan quickly. Mother, why did you come out? Do you want to ride a horse? Just ask that boy to lead the horse. Tang Guo pointed at Mo Xian. Mo Xian, okay, he will do all the dirty work. After all, he is a man. How could he care about this kind of thing with a little girl? Mother doesn't ride a horse. Tang Wenguan smoothed Tang Guo's hair and said, I just had a dream when I was taking a nap. I dreamed that I was back in the Central Plains. I feel that there are not many peaceful days left. Is that so? Mother, don't be afraid. Grandpa Mountain God is here. Whoever takes us away will be unlucky. Abe happened to pass by. When he heard Tang Guo's words, he almost tripped. If he hadn't experienced it himself, he would have thought that it was nonsense. How could there be such a thing in the world? Now all the people in the kingdom of Sera believed in the legend of the mountain god. They even worshipped him as their god and wanted to be protected. In fact, their choice was right. Since they didn't disturb Tang Wenguan and the other two, Grandpa Mountain God didn't bother them anymore. This was good. Now they didn't even have any thoughts of moving to the Central Plains. They were afraid that they would accidentally anger Grandpa Mountain God and let their horses run away halfway. Tang Wenguan took Tang Guo and Mo Xian back to the tent and said to them, if people from the Central Plains really come, we will be the same as before. Although you are good at martial arts, you are still young and haven't practiced martial arts for a long time. There are countless martial arts masters in the Central Plains. If you expose your martial arts, even if you are talented, they will still think that it is because of the secret martial arts manuals. They will think of all kinds of despicable means to force. Tang Wenguan warned, let's just follow them. When the time comes, Mother will find a way to instigate a fight between the martial artists so that they can't take care of themselves. Tang Guo smiled brightly. Listen to Mother. Wang Nuo was. Although Auntie Tang looked weak on the outside, she was a troublemaker. Tang Wenwan said, "It's good that you can bear it. I plan to take the initiative to do something. There are ready-made animal skins here. I will make them mold and engrave some maps on them. Then I will find a way to spread these maps to the martial arts world of the Central Plains. Recite those secret martial arts manuals for me. I have recently thought about it and changed the order. Let those martial arts masters take the maps to find these manuals and practice them. I don't plan to change the order from the first to the third level. I will change it later." Tang Guo and Imo Xian looked at each other. They both thought that Tang Wenwan had made progress. Chapter 50-28. Tang Wenwan wanted to start something, and Tang Guo was happy to oblige. They first made the animal skin look old and then drew a map on it. They had also thought of the location of the map. When they returned to the Central Plains, they would hide the altered martial arts secret manuals in those locations and let the people of the martial arts world fight over them until their heads bled. After they finished planning, someone from the Central Plains arrived. It was someone Tang Wenwan knew. They had met before, and it was the first prince of the martial arts world, Bai Yi. "Miss Tang, long time no see. I heard you were taken away by Prince Abe of Cell Kingdom. I was worried about you. It's really hard to find a place like Serbia." Bai Yi smiled and said gently, "Miss Tang, come back with me. You have been through a lot." Abe was very polite to Bai Yi. He pretended to be afraid of him, but in his heart, he wanted Tang Wenwan to leave the grasslands. Every day Tang Wenwan was there, he felt very uncomfortable. Now, the people of Cell Kingdom were looking at him strangely. The grasslands are too big, and Cell Kingdom is always changing places. "It is hard to find," Bai Yi said. "But I have finally found her. Prince Abe, I am taking Miss Tang with me. Are you okay with that? Miss Tang is from the Central Plains, and she is Hero Tang's daughter. It is only right that we take her with us. You heard a martial artist from the Central Plains and took her away. That is unreasonable." Abe looked at the martial artists behind Bai Yi. He was very happy, but he pretended to be scared. "Mr. Bai, stop talking nonsense. If you have brought so many people with you, then take her with you. Prince Abe is very straightforward. You know what to do." Bai Yi thought Abe was afraid of the martial artists he had brought with him. He thought that no matter how strong Abe was, he would still be scared. After all, this was his enemy's home. If a fight broke out, the people of Cell Kingdom would be at a disadvantage. "Miss Tang, let's go. The carriage is ready." Bai Yi smiled. His voice was as gentle as ever. Tang Wenwan nodded. She led Tang Guo and Imo Xian into the carriage. The three of them looked very weak. It was as if a rainstorm could take them away. Abu's mouth twitched as he looked at their weak and feeble appearances. His eyelids were still twitching. He had misjudged them. How were these three incomparably delicate people? They were clearly three wolves. Those who had their eyes on the three of them were the real sheep. Abe felt that he had suffered a great loss, so he also wanted the people of the Central Plains to continue suffering losses. Only then would he be able to vent his anger. So, he didn't tell Bai Yi about the mountain god, and he didn't tell him about the children's martial arts. He looked at the slowly moving carriage. When he saw that it was only a small black dot, a big smile appeared on his face. "Oh, oh, 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 oh." The people around Abu also cheered. Let's have a party tonight to get rid of the bad luck of the past year. Abe smiled and said, "We won't go to the Central Plains anymore. The people there are too scary." Prince Abe is right. There is nothing bad about the Central Plains. At least there aren't people who are protected by the mountain god. They don't want to chase away our cows, sheep, and horses. Although Tangua and the others hadn't caused any trouble, they had been living in fear for the past year. They were afraid that one morning, their cows, sheep, and horses would all be gone. Chapter 50-29. Is there any news about Nwan? Wenren Qin asked. Shang Qing said, "Yes. Bai Yi knows where Sire is. He's already there, waiting for news. I arranged for people to follow them, but I don't know if they'll be able to bring her back." A month later, Tang Wenwan returned to the Central Plains. Wenren Qin and Shang Qing received the news that the government had stabilized. Wenren Qin and Shang Qing left the palace to see Tang Wenwan. Tang Wenwan was living in Bai Yi's house. In the martial arts world, even if Wenren Qin was the king, she couldn't attack them without reason. So, they went to see how Tang Wenwan was doing. Bai Yi didn't stop them, though. He arranged for many people to watch. When Wenren Qin and Shang Qing saw the elites, their hearts sank. "Nwan, are you okay? I've been worried sick for the past year. I've been sending people to look for you, but Sire is very hard to find." Wenren Qin held Tang Wenwan's hand. She wanted to say that Tang Wenwan didn't look good. But she quickly swallowed the words. Tang Wenwan's face was red, and there was more flesh on her face. She wasn't as pale as before. Wenren Qin then said, "Nwan, your complexion looks better. Shang Qing, check Nwan's pulse and see what's wrong." Wenren Qin was still worried. Her sudden improvement wasn't necessarily a good thing. After checking her pulse, Shang Qing said, "Nwan's body is much better than before. She's fine. Perhaps it's because of Sire's diet that she's getting better." If she was fine, Wenren Qin stopped worrying. Nwan, don't worry. I'll find a way to get you out of here." "Qin, there's no need. I won't do anything. You're the king of a country. Anything you do will affect the government. Plus, I need you and Shang Qing to help me with something. Just do it for me." Tangua saw that no one was eavesdropping, so she didn't stop Tang Wenwan. Tang Wenwan took out a bag and gave it to Wenren Qin. Then, she told them her plan. Wenren Qin and Shang Qing were shocked. They had always thought Tang Wenwan was weak, but she was scheming. "Nuan, don't worry. I'll definitely help you get this done. It may be very troublesome to save you, but it's too easy." Wenren Qin thought that Tang Wenwan could scheme against people and felt relieved. From Tang Wenwan's complexion, it could be seen that she hadn't had a bad year. Wenren Qin and Shang Qing said goodbye to Bai Yi, and they went to carry out Tang Wenwan's orders. 10 days later, news of the treasure map spread throughout the martial arts world. It was said that the treasure map might contain something left behind by Master Tang. When Bai Yi heard the news, he went to ask Tang Wenwan. Tang Wenwan shook his head. "I don't know where Dad's things are, and I've never heard of any treasure map. It's most likely fake. We'll know if it's real or fake once we bring back all the treasure maps." Bai Yi looked at Tang Wenwan's face, but he couldn't tell anything. He left. Tang Wenwan really wanted to know what was going on outside, so she asked her maid about the treasure maps every day. She was just worried about the progress of her plan, but when Bai Yi heard her, he thought she was worried about who would get the treasure map. He thought the map really did belong to Master Tang. Prince Abe of the Kingdom of Serbia, who was far away in the grasslands, had also heard about the recent treasure map incident in the Central Plains. "No, I'm not going." Abu quickly shook his head. "I have a feeling that she's related to Hero Tang and Tang Wenwan, and it's not a good thing. They can go get the treasure map themselves. I'm not interested." On the other side, a couple was drinking tea in a tea shop. When they heard people talking about the treasure map, they started to whisper to each other. "Could Master Tang really have left a treasure map behind?" the pretty woman asked. The handsome man next to her shook his head. "Impossible." "Then what's going on?" The pretty woman was confused. The handsome man said, "Maybe there's a misunderstanding. Maybe you should worry about your son. It's been so long, I'm sure he hates us. Isn't everything fine? He didn't follow that pretty girl willingly. How can I ruin my son's plans?" Chapter 50-30. In less than a month's time, the martial artists fought each other to get their hands on the treasure map. Some came out in the open, while others came out to play tricks in the dark. Bai Yi wanted to get the treasure maps, so he didn't pay much attention to Tang Wenwan. Tang Wenwan asked her maids about the treasure maps every day. The more progress she made, the more certain Bai Yi was that the maps had to have been left behind by Hero Tang. Bai Yi had 2 treasure maps, but he didn't know how many he would be able to complete the map. But if he could get the maps, he would take them. Tang Wenwan had a lot of maps, and she asked Wenren Qin and Shang Qin to help her distribute them. She knew how people felt. If it was too easy, they wouldn't believe it. So, she made it harder. Just a few treasure maps were enough for the martial artists to fight over. Once all the maps were collected, there would be another fight. Bai Yi didn't have time to deal with Tang Wenwan, but Mo Xian's parents came looking for him. When Mo Xian saw them, he wasn't touched. His parents looked like they knew where he was, but they hadn't come looking for him. Mo Qing and Jiang Yuyu looked at each other and smiled awkwardly. They had known where Mo Xian was for a long time, but that was only because Mo Xian was safe. That was why they hadn't gone looking for him. If Mo Xian was in danger, they would have helped him. They couldn't let their son be in danger. Tang Gua sat to the side, sizing up this immortal couple. In the original storyline, Mo Xian had been captured by the Seamless Tower's Tower Master. He had no chance to leave behind a mark at all. He had been trained every day, and he had been thrown into the Snake Denver. He had no chance at all. In the end, Xingfeng's favorite student didn't want to leave. Xingfeng had caused him so much trouble, and he didn't want to leave so easily. So, he hid his identity so that the couple couldn't find him. In the end, Mo Xian didn't know if he had left with the couple. "Xian Jiang Yuyu called out. Jiang Yuyu shouted, "It's not that mother didn't come to pick you up, but your father and I have been observing you from the side. We saw that you were not in danger and had a good time. So, we didn't want to disturb your fun." Mo Qing added, that's right. It's rare for you to come out and play. Dad and Mom are just worried that you won't have enough fun and will disturb you. Look, you have new friends now. Do you want to introduce them to me?" Mo Xian wouldn't believe their nonsense. Even if they told him in advance, he wouldn't be disturbed, right? As a result, he had left behind countless markings, thinking that they hadn't seen them. Mo Xian turned his head to one side, not wanting to talk to them. Clearly, they liked to play and felt that he was disturbing them, so they didn't come to find him. As for why he appeared now, it was most likely because he felt a little guilty in his heart. After having a good time, he finally remembered that he had a son. Jiang Yuyu and Mo Qing continued to look at each other, not knowing what to say for a while. At this time, Tang Wenwan said, "This is your fault. Xian He has been talking about you." He said that he left many marks because he was afraid that you wouldn't see them. If you didn't come, how disappointed would a child like him be? Didn't he leave those marks because he believed that you would find him? You parents are too careless, Tang Wenwan said bluntly. Chapter 50-31. Mo Xian was very close to her. Occasionally, he would say that it would be great if his mother was like her. Obviously, the couple didn't care enough about him. Mo Qing and Jiang Yuyu wanted to refute, but they suddenly found that Mo Xian's eyes were red. They shut up at once and didn't know what to do. Jiang Yuyu walked to Mo Xian and touched his head. Well, it's my fault. I should have come to see you as soon as I found the mark. I'm also wrong. I shouldn't have listened to your mother. I should have come as soon as possible. Mo Qing quickly admitted his mistake. The attitude of the two finally made Mo Xian feel better. It's a promise. There will be no next time. Mo Xian pursed his lips. If there is a next time, I will ignore you. I will come to Aunt Tang and recognize her as my mother. Hearing this, Jiang Yuyu was really frightened. No, there won't be a next time. I won't do such a thing in the future. I won't let you be taken away, okay? It was the first time that Mo Xian had been apologized to by the two. He felt comfortable. Okay, I'll forgive you this time. After dealing with Mo Xian, Jiang Yuyu and Mo Qing didn't feel good. Tang Wenwan's words made them understand that they had left their son aside because of their deep feelings, which seemed to have hurt him. The two of them decided that they must become qualified parents again. Even if they liked to get along with each other, they couldn't ignore their son. It was they who brought him into this world. They had to take the responsibility of his parents. Come on, wipe it. You said that you were a man before, but your eyes are red. Tang Gua handed Mo Xian a handkerchief. Don't stare at me. Don't refute. Hurry up and wipe it. If you don't wipe it, your tears will leave a tear mark on your handsome face. Hearing this, Mo Xian didn't have time to refute. He quickly picked up the handkerchief and wiped it. Tang Gua patted his head. That's right. In fact, I won't laugh at you if you cry. You are all children. What's the big deal about crying? But I know that you are a person who cares about face. Mo Xian. This was great. He had lost all his face. Xian do you want to come with us? Jiang Yuyu asked hesitantly. She obviously felt that Mo Xian liked to stay with Tang Gua very much. She had a hunch that Mo Xian was unwilling to leave. As expected, Mo Xian shook his head. No, I won't leave. I want to stay with Sister Gua and Aunt Tang. My life belongs to Sister Gua This time, Jiang Yuyu and Mo Qing were confused. Mo Xian explained it to them seriously. Hearing that their son had almost been trained as an assassin and was almost thrown into the 10,000 snake cave, the couple was frightened. They felt increasingly guilty and felt that they were not qualified. Although you're my parents, I'm already Gua's. A man has to keep his word. I'll be by her side from now on. Jiang Yuyu and Mo Qing were in trouble. What should they do now? Father, mother, if you like to play, then go ahead. You just have to visit me occasionally. I don't blame you for what happened before. Aunt Tang also gave me a secret martial arts book, so my martial arts skills are not bad now. I'm only 10 years old now. When I'm older, my martial arts will be more powerful. You don't have to worry. When I'm more powerful in the future, I can visit you often. Jiang Yuyu and Mo Qing felt as if their son had married into someone else's family. It was a strange idea. Chapter 5032. Jiang Yuyu and Imo Qing didn't plan on taking Imo Xian away. If their son was willing to stay, they wouldn't do anything he didn't like. To make it up to their son, they decided to stay with the Bai family. They pretended to be a normal couple. Bai Yi didn't care. The Bai family could afford 2 more people, and they were Tang Wenwan's friends. As long as they didn't try to take Tang Wenwan away, everything was fine. Recently, he had been busy with the map. He didn't have time to talk to Tang Wenwan. When he got the whole map and the treasure, he would deal with it. The beauty was already living in his house, so he wasn't afraid of her running away. Now that the whole martial arts world was concerned about the treasure map, Tang Wenwan's popularity had dropped. Tang Wenwan had a rare peaceful life. Jiang Yuyu and Imo Qing often came to ask Tang Wenwan how to be a good parent. They had a good relationship. When Jiang Yuyu cooked for Imo Xian was shocked. He hadn't expected to be able to eat his mother's cooking. "It's good, isn't it? My mother made it." Imo Xian shared some of the snacks that Jiang Yuyu had made with Tang Gua. "If you like them, I'll ask my mother to make more tomorrow." Tang Gua chewed on the snacks and thought, "My mother taught your mother to do this. He's showing off in front of me." But she remembered that the kid had been lacking in this area before, so she didn't expose him. She just watched him show off. Every day, there was news about the martial arts world. As more and more treasure maps appeared, there were more and more fights in the martial arts world. In the beginning, it was just a simple fight. At most, there would be blood. Now, people would die. The martial arts world is still the martial arts world. Just one treasure map is enough to make people fight over it. "I don't like it here," Jiang Yuyu said. "Fortunately, we aren't interested in it." Imo Qing said, "Well, I don't know what the treasure map is about." Imo Xian looked at Tang Wenwan and then at Tang Gua. He glanced at his parents, who were in the middle of a heated discussion. He didn't tell them the secret. 3 months later, many people in the martial arts world had secretly collected the treasure map. Tang Wenwan didn't know how many copies had been collected. She only knew that Bai Yi had gathered everything, and he was already on his way. "Another conflict has begun," Imo Qing said. "Imo Xian, when you find out that it was Aunt Tang who did it, you'll be shocked." Half a month later, Bai Yi returned. He didn't look well. The map he had been given wasn't Great Hero Tang's treasure map. There were only some secret martial arts manuals in the place he searched. Because there were many people who had gathered the map, he only took back one secret martial arts manual. The rest was divided among the other people in the martial arts world. Until now, those people were probably still fighting over it. After Bai Yi received the book, he didn't start practicing. He just flipped through it. It was obvious that this secret martial arts manual was still not enough to attract him. In the past few days, he had been showing his presence to Tang Wenwan. It seemed that he was planning to get the secret of Hero Tang's treasure here. Tang Wenwan had been studying a book of poison recently, which was given to her by Tang Gua. She also asked someone to buy a lot of medicine because of her body, which was quite effective at present. But Bai Yi kept bothering her every day. He kept asking her questions, and it annoyed her. "Do you know where Brother Hengzhou went?" Tang Wenwan shook her head. "I don't know. Do you want me to go to Carefree Villa with you? Maybe we can find some clues there." Chapter 5033. Tang Wenwan agreed to take Bai Yi back to Carefree House. She wanted to go back, too. After all, that used to be her home. Hengzhou had been missing for many years, and no one had heard anything about him. Had he really been taken by Grandpa Mountain God? The day they returned, Tang Wenwan saw Bai Yi with a group of people. She looked glum. Mr. Bai, what is the meaning of this? There has been no news of Brother Hingzhou. Carefree House can't be left unattended. I am taking some people with me to take care of the house. Tang Wenwan understood. Bai Yi was going to take people to search for treasure. Bai Yi saw that Tang Wenwan didn't want to go, so he smiled and said, Guo, and the kid are already in the carriage. Was he threatening her? Mo Qing and Jiang Yuyu were pretending to be a normal couple, so Bai Yi didn't suspect anything. They followed Tang Wenwan, and he didn't stop them. When they returned to Carefree House, Tang Wenwan didn't want Bai Yi to go in. But Carefree House wasn't what it used to be. There were only a few servants inside. Bai Yi went in, and he arranged for people to guard every corner of the house. They started to search every nook and cranny of the house. Bai Yi also grabbed a few people and asked them where Hero Tang and his wife's grave was. When Tang Wenwan heard this, she exploded. Bai Yi, don't go too far. My parents' grave only contained some personal belongings. There was no treasure. You'll know when you see it. Don't worry, Wenwan. After I see it, I'll bury it back. Tang Wenwan was so angry that her eyes turned red. Tang Guo grabbed her hand and comforted her. Bai Yi laughed. He followed the people around the rooms, especially Hengzhou's room. He wanted to look around. This is the first Mr. of Wulin. Jiang Yuyu mocked. Digging up someone's grave. Brother Qing, we can't just stand by and do nothing. Hero Tang was a hero. We can't let him die in peace. Yes. If he really digs up the grave, we'll kick him out. Although they wouldn't have a peaceful life if they did that, they couldn't just stand by and do nothing for the sake of a peaceful life. Guo, why don't you try it out later? Tang Wenwan said. She went to the room and took out a short sword. You can use this sword first. When you grow up, mother will find you a better one. Tang Guo held a short sword. This sword was indeed more suitable for her to show off her figure. Tang Wenwan pulled out a medicine bottle from her pocket. I'm going to put some poison on this. It's not a deadly poison, and it's easy to force it out of an expert's body. This poison will make your skin itch. Be careful and try to cut Bai Yi. Mo Qingjiang and Jiang Yuyu stared at Tang Wenwan's instructions with their mouths agape. Perhaps Tang Wenwan felt their gaze and said, Do you too need it? The two of them hurriedly shook their heads. They didn't need to use these things in a fight. He didn't expect Tang Wenwan to have such a side. No wonder he didn't seem to be at a disadvantage. Tang Wenwan carefully applied some poison to Tang Guo's dagger. Bai Yi's actions had really pissed her off. She wished she knew martial arts, so she could take his life with her own hands. When Bai Yi took his people to the grave of Hero Tang and his wife, Tang Wenwan took a shortcut and blocked Bai Yi's path. Wenwan, don't be stubborn. I'll ask someone to dig up the grave. If there's nothing there, I'll let Hero Tang rest in peace. Chapter 50-34. Bai Yi, you are the first master of the martial arts world, yet you are digging up someone's grave. If this gets out, people will laugh at you, Jiang Yuyu said. You'd better leave Carefree Villa now. Otherwise, we'll see who's stronger. Bai Yi saw that Jiang Yuyu was holding a sword, and it looked as if she wanted to fight. I was wrong. I did not expect you two to know martial arts. Let me tell you this, if you know what's good for you, pretend you didn't see anything today. That way, you won't suffer. Jiang Yuyu was very angry. She was going to fight, but Tang Guo stopped her. Auntie Jiang, let me go first. I've been practicing for so long, and I haven't used my real skills yet. I want to see how much I've improved. Jiang Yuyu hesitated. Tang Guo was only 10 years old, and she was afraid something might go wrong. Why don't you let Guo go first? If Tang Wenwan said that, Jiang Yuyu wouldn't refuse. But she still looked at Bai Yi with caution. Her martial arts were better than Bai Yi's, and she hadn't thought much of Bai Yi. They didn't fight because they didn't want to get involved in the martial arts world's conflict. She hadn't expected Bai Yi to go so far. She was cautious because she was worried that Tang Guo might be in danger. But when Tang Guo jumped toward Bai Yi, she was shocked. Was this really a boy who wasn't even 10 years old? How could she be so strong? She hadn't noticed that before. Mom, don't be so surprised. Sister Guo is a martial arts genius. She is the one in a million, Mo Xian explained. She is much stronger than me, who is one in a million. She is that talented. Mo Qing was shocked. After the shock, he suddenly realized, maybe she inherited Hero Tang's talent. Mo Qing was right, but there had to be a reason why Tang Guo was so strong. Bai Yi was shocked, too. Tang Guo was just a little girl, and she was so strong. His eyes flashed with passion. So, Tang Wenwan should have something that belonged to Hero Tang. Even if it wasn't much, if he got it, he would be able to rise above the martial arts world. As long as he caught this little girl, Tang Wenwan would definitely be obedient. At that time, why would he be afraid of digging the grave? In Bai Yi's dream, Tang Guo's sword slashed toward his face. Bai Yi tried to dodge, but he looked like a mess. He was still a bit scared. Little Nuwa couldn't be underestimated. Guo, I've decided to be serious. I don't want to hurt you, but you seem to be very dissatisfied with me. In that case, I can only take action. You talk too much. Bai Yi's face froze. He raised his fan and started to attack Tang Guo. Tang Guo was very agile. She didn't want to waste time, so she used her speed to cut Bai Yi. The onlookers were frozen, especially Bai Yi's white clothes. They quickly turned red. Bai Yi had a bad feeling about this. This little girl was very strong. He didn't want to believe he couldn't beat a little girl, but that was the truth. No matter how he attacked, she was able to dodge. But when she kept attacking, he couldn't dodge a single hit. Her sword was so fast that she could have sliced his neck, but it seemed like she was toying with him. I didn't expect you and your mother to be so good at hiding things. We will have plenty of time in the future, then. Bai Yi was scared. He turned around to leave, but Tang Guo wasn't going to let him. Mo Xian, stop him. When Mo Xian heard Tang Guo's call, he put on his gloves. His fists were itchy. He ran in front of Bai Yi and punched him in the nose. Then, he punched Bai Yi in the head. Bai Yi was dizzy from the impact. Bai Yi's body was still itching, and he accidentally fell to the ground. You want to dig up my grandpa's grave? Tang Guo walked over and stepped on Bai Yi's chest. Why don't you take a piss and look in the mirror? The former #1 young master of the martial arts world is now a cripple. After that, Tang Guo destroyed Bai Yi's martial arts. She broke his meridians, making it impossible for him to practice martial arts. No one had time to react to what had just happened. Tang Guo ran back to Tang Wenwan. Mother, in the future, we will be the masters of Carefree Villa. You see, I can easily defeat him. In this martial arts world, how many people can be my opponent? When Tang Wenwan heard that, she started to cry. Chapter 50-35. In less than 3 days, the news of the first master of Wulin, Bai Yi, being disabled spread like wildfire. According to the people who were there, Bai Yi had been defeated by a little girl who wasn't even 10 years old. That little girl was Tang Wenwan's daughter. At first, many people didn't believe it, but Bai Yi admitted that Tang's martial arts were very strong. He told everyone that she must have learned the martial arts that hero Tang had left behind. Otherwise, how could a girl who wasn't even 10 years old beat him? Everyone believed Bai Yi's words. Soon, people from all over the world of Wulin gathered. They planned to go to Carefree House to fight Tangua. If they wanted Carefree House to fight Tangua, they needed a good reason. So, they made a fuss about Tangua's kung fu. They said she was practicing demonic arts. If that wasn't the case, how could a little girl break Bai Yi's kung fu, who had been practicing for 20 years? All you need to do is spread the news that she uses boys and girls to practice demonic arts. Some of the neutral factions in Wulin will have to come and fight her. Bai Yi spoke from his wheelchair. Now, he didn't look like the first mister. His face was dark, and his expression was twisted. He gritted his teeth as he spoke. It looked like he hated Tangua to the core. He had been in Wulin for many years, and he had never been beaten like this before. And he had been beaten by a little girl who wasn't even 10 years old. How could he accept that? So, that little girl must have practiced demonic arts. That was why she was so good at kung fu. Hero Tang had collected a lot of martial arts manuals, and there might have been one of them. A few days later, the entire Wulin was talking about how Tangua had practiced demonic arts. That was how she had defeated Bai Yi. Not only had she defeated him, but she had also destroyed his kung fu and broken his veins. To do something so evil, she had to have practiced some demonic arts. As time passed, the rumor spread. Even Prince Abe, who was far away on the grasslands, heard the news. I don't know if it is demonic arts or not, but I do know that whoever messes with her will not have a good ending. He ordered his subordinates to be more vigilant. When transporting goods, they must not have anything to do with the people of the martial arts world. Especially that little girl, we can't afford to offend her, Abe said cautiously. There was still some lingering fear in his eyes. If he had dared to do anything to Tang Wenwan, he would have ended up worse than Bai Yi. This Bai Yi is such a scumbag. Tang Wenwan had been researching poisons recently. Ever since she took charge of the Carefree Mountain Villa, she no longer had to be afraid of the outside world. Her days were completely peaceful. She couldn't practice martial arts, so she put all her energy into developing poisons. She hoped that one day, even if she did not have martial arts, she would be able to use these poisons to defend herself, and no one would dare to humiliate her again. She had never asked about the affairs of the Wulin, but she had inadvertently heard the maids discussing the matter of Tangua practicing the devil arts. Only after calling the person over for questioning did he learn the ins and outs of the matter. Mother, let them say what they want. These people are tarnishing my reputation just to use it as an excuse to punish me. In their hearts, they actually believed that I had the secret martial arts manuals hidden by my grandfather. Although they spoke of benevolence, righteousness, and morality, they were all greedy people. They were the kind of people who wanted to be a whore, but still wanted to build a monument to their chastity. Tang Wenwan was angry, and she didn't care how Tangua had learned to be so rude. You're tuning in to the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.